Hello and welcome to Savva Talks Spurs. I am, of course, Savva. You recognise this ugly face wherever you go. And I am joined by Graham Harrison from 2 years ago when we used to do the shows together. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Yes, yeah, good to be back. Doesn't seem 2 years, is it? Gosh,
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. So you'll probably notice a few of the same names in the comments. There'll be a few people you don't know, but for anyone that doesn't know Graham has worked within professional football for 25 years.
A long time, and then district county football all my life. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. So Graham has managed district teams, worked with England at youth level, scouted, head of director of youth football for Charlton Athletic. So he's a well-learned man, a very respectable character.
Yes, I hope so. Whether it depends what other people think, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, and it's Graham's fault that I got into coaching and all of that. He made me
many years ago, wasn't it?
Paid for me to do my badges, so thank you for that.
Many years ago.
Okay, let's talk. So today's show. So what we're going to be talking about. First of all, welcome to everyone. What I love about my show, that sounds really big-headed, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that we do get fans from other clubs. So you are, of course, welcome. Even Arsenal fans, United fans. We get Newcastle fans. We get the likes of Wayne from Leicester City. We get Ian, who is the mad Darlington fan that keeps me up to date with what's going on down there in the Conference North. So everybody is welcome. Today, Graham, we're going to talk about, as the title of the show, is this ambition? Now, Graham, you and I, obviously, we have talked Spurs for, 25 years. I don't know. Yeah. And one thing we've always said, what we want to see at this club is ambition. And not forced ambition, not ambition where all these young kids now who tell you that everyone's a baller and they're generational, but actual ambition. So my question to you, let's start off. My question to you is, have you been in the last 21, 22 years, do you think that ENIC at any point have shown ambition? And is it about time that they started to show it?
I don't think they've shown any ambition at all, to be honest. Very mediocre signings, average signings. When it was needed, we didn't strengthen the squad. After the Champions League final, that's the time the money should have gone into it, and they didn't. They bought, a great long list. We wrote one down the other week, didn't we? Of all the players that have signed over the last 6 or 7 years, and so many of them are just average, mediocre players. Cheap people. People who just bring them in. Oh, they're only 15 million. Oh, that'll be good. And it hasn't worked. Yeah, it hasn't worked. And it's only the magic of Conte now has got us into the Champions League with them. But no, they've shown no ambition at all. They want to get by paying as little as possible and hoping the manager does the job.
Absolutely. Look, I think this is a key thing for me. One of the things that we always talk about, G. When I say G, it's just because I'm too lazy to say Graham. One of the things that we always talk about, G, is that when we do buy players, it always feels like it's very underwhelming. Yeah. It always feels like, there's no right, let's go and get a top player, bish, bash, bosh, get it done. It always feels like there's sell-on value that we're worried about, or we're worried about, could they come good in 3 years? Or did they have an outstanding year in the Championship? So with that, what I want to kick on with is I want to look at, first of all, let me caveat this. Anyone who watches the show will always tell you that I caveat everything, right? I think it's really important too. So when I talk about players that we're linked with, players that we're putting bids in for, this is all the crap that you hear on Twitter, the crap that you hear on Instagram and Sky Sports News. Right, so let's start, Graham. So let's talk about the main man of the moment. All of a sudden, yesterday morning, everyone's sitting there minding their own business in the world of football, and the first report comes out that Spurs have put in a bid for Eriksen at Everton. Let's talk about him. So before we talk about Spurs signing him, before we talk about his transfer value, what do you make of him as a player, first and foremost?
Well, he's a half-decent player. I don't know how many goals he's actually scored in this very mediocre Everton side this year. He's obviously a decent player. I spoke to an Everton fan, a good friend of mine, on Friday, and he's glad to see the back of him. So that probably says it all. I think when you look at him, he's always whinging and moaning and diving, and that puts you off straight away.
Yeah.
As a footballer, I'm sure he's got a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Of course, Conte, I mean, he'll probably find it easier with Lampard, so getting away with what he does. I don't think he'll get away with that with Conte. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the player I would have signed, but you just don't know. He might come in and do tremendously. 60 million, a lot of money. So
let's move on from that then. Not move on from Eriksen, but yeah, look, I agree with you. I don't think he's a bad player. I think that he's a very good. I think he's a very good player, or he's a good player. Sorry, ignore the dog. For some reason, can't not be with us. He's a good player, right? He's a good player. I thought, Graham, that the whole point of us getting Champions League football was that we were going to start looking at top quality players. Now, I'm not talking about Neymar. I'm not talking about Mbappe. I'm not talking about players of that ilk and De Bruyne. But surely, wasn't the point that we were going to get a bit better than players like Eriksen, and obviously we'll speak about Spence afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the restrictions are on. And we said about this 150 million. Does that include Romero and Kulusevski? I don't know. I mean, if you take their money out as well, you're coming down quite low. Are we just relying on selling players to bring money in? I still think they're looking for the bargain, aren't they? Certainly with Spence, they're looking for the bargain, but of not spending tremendously. I mean, you need to throw 300, 400 million at it to make any impression, I think, on the top, well, certainly the top two, but to make sure third place will always be. We've got to throw money at it. There's no point, I think we've let it drift over the years to the extent where the squad at the moment, I mean, you only got to look at the bench, how weak the bench is compared with other teams up the top with us. Yeah, that needs to improve as well. We've let it stagnate over the years, and it's made it harder now. It's a harder job to bolster the squad up to the required standard. Yeah.
So this should have been happening years ago, right?
Been totally neglected. And again, it's Levy trying to get away, as I said before, trying to get away with spending as little as possible and hoping the manager has the Midas touch.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, just quickly before we go on, Graham, look, one of the things, and I think you know this about me, is I like to be very interactive. So I will never ever ignore all the guests in the comment section. No. So who have we got? We've got a full ball. Always calls me the governor. Love that. Might get one of those new £130 Spurs shirts with Savva the governor on the back. Luan, welcome back, Luan. Luan is a Man United fan. One of my all-time favourite YouTubers is back live. How are you today? I'm very well, as is Graham. I'm going to make Graham a roast dinner today, so he's a very lucky man. And I said, welcome back, Graham.
And thank you very much. Is it Ant? I haven't got my glasses on.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry. You let me do that bit. Luana said, big up Savva and Graham. By the way, when you're on YouTube now, you're constantly being bigged up. So
I've got to get into the talk, haven't I?
Yeah. You're far too old for YouTube talk. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm too old for YouTube talk. Yeah. So Ilyas has said, hello, Savva. Ilyas is a Liverpool fan. So we get them all here. We get them all. Yeah. Coach Silver, one of the good guys. Hello, mate. How are you? Hope you're feeling better. Yes, get Savva to 1K. So Savva is currently on 828 subscribers after 6 weeks of going live, which I'm very impressed with. If you could get me to 900 as quickly as possible, that would be great. As I've said, once I start making money, when I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will give 50% of every revenue from every show to the British Heart Foundation. I can't say fairer than that, can I? I think that's quite nice. So let's help make me make that happen. Ron Coolier said, afternoon, gents.
Good afternoon, Ron.
Ilyas, best channel in the world. Well, I'll take that. Big up Savva, one of the real ones. Thank you, George. Jolien has said, big up Savva. Keep speaking sense and smash the likes. Mark Scrumpy Cousins, you're one of my mods, remember, Mark. Big up Savva. Who are we signing now? Graham, I think we're linked with every player in world football, aren't we?
Absolutely. It's bound to be, isn't it? It's bound. We'll ring Conte up later on, see what what's the latest. But you're going to be linked with everybody, aren't we? I mean, as soon as money's talked about, we got all this. We haven't got all this money to spend. Really, 150 million is not a lot, is it?
It's not now. No, it's not.
But yeah, you're going to get it. It's silly season, isn't it? They've got to fill fill everything up with all the information. So they're going to go. They're going to make players up, and yeah, we're linked with some interesting players. But how many will actually come off? I don't know.
Absolutely. One of my faves, Bob Spur TV. It's a big up, Savva and Graham. Thank you for your support and contribution towards the NHS charity. Much appreciated, Sav. Plus, thanks for your support on the stream last night. So, a bit of context. Bob Spur did a 24-hour podcast for charity, which I can tell you, anybody who speaks for an hour and a half at a time, you get dry mouth. Now imagine doing 24 hours of it. He's doing it for a great cause. It's for the NHS. And I sponsored some money to him last night. I was actually sitting there ready to go to bed at about 11:30 last night. Bob sends me a WhatsApp. Do I want to go on his show? Went on his show. Next thing I know, it's about 3 a.m, playing some mad, crazy games, talking loads of Spurs with loads of good people. So go to Bob Spur's channel, and he's not taking any super chats. He just wants any money to go towards the NHS. So please sponsor him. Simon Cohen, Pochettino has gone. Now, I get these sort of messages in my chat all the time. Can anyone confirm this? Has Pochettino gone, or is this press reports? I will try and do a quick search now.
They've taken a long time to do it, haven't they?
Yeah, I think it was inevitable. I think he's been.
I don't like him.
I think he's been dreadful there. There's a couple of French guys at my work, and they always tell me, G, that they just don't like it. They don't like his football. They don't feel like he's got the dressing room. He can't manage the players. So if he's gone, he's gone.
I don't know where he goes from there, really.
I don't think he gets a top job. Do you?
No, well, I wouldn't. I'm happy with Conte. I don't want him back. I'm happy with Conte.
Absolutely. I just don't know where he goes either.
No.
But guys, tell me in the chat, where does Pochettino go? Give me some suggestions. Where does Mauricio Pochettino go? Has he been a success at PSG? Has he not? Has his reputation taken a bit of a bashing? Let me know. Luana said, by the way, Savva, congrats on the 800 subs. You'll be at 1K very soon. Thank you very much. And thank you for being part of the journey. Peter Simons, Ndombele was a top player. No, he bloody wasn't. Ndombele's another one. And we're going to come and talk. We're going to talk about this, G, in a minute, because we are going to talk about Paqueta. Now, one of the things we're going to talk about is Ndombele. For me, when you speak to a lot of French fans, they'll tell you that, yeah, he had some great games in the Champions League. For example, when he was having great games against Man City for Lyon, but that his all-round game, he didn't actually have any output. There wasn't really any consistency, but we will come back to that, Peter. So thank you for bringing that up. George just said spot on. I'll just assume that anything I say is spot on because I back myself. Daniel Primus has said, as a backup forward, what if Conte wanted him? Not saying this is a great signing if it happens, but it will give us a different option if we're in for him. We'll go back to Eriksen in a second. That's who you're talking about. Lost count of the amount of players we've been linked with. Yeah, I think the other day we put together in our WhatsApp group, I think we were about 57 players that the likes of Ali Gold and Dan Kilpatrick have told us that we're signing or bidding for. Hello, Savva, and good afternoon, Graham.
Good afternoon.
Full Ball is giving some positivity. 10 goals and 5 assists for Eriksen in 30 games. We'll come back to that, Graham. Eriksen should not be the priority for Spurs. For £60 million, there are other areas that you need to prioritise. Look, lots and lots of comments. I don't think I'll be able to read them all out. Toby said he will take Eriksen. Are you talking about tapping Tobes? Cool. Love Tobes, but disagree with him if that is who it is. He's a bit like when Liverpool signed Jota. I would say it's a bit like that in no way because Jota's a quality footballer. Jota's class.
Tremendous. No, great signing. One of the great signings that Liverpool have made.
Yeah. Fantastic
signing.
Yeah.
Signing players when you're up the top.
Stewie the Pug, football said, yeah, Stewie the Pug is sitting with us. He's in talks with Paratici at the moment. Kulu isn't being signed this summer. He's on loan, isn't he, for another year? Oh, that's right. If I'm right. That's right. George just said I would take him, but 60 million, not sure. Savva, which top quality forward as a backup would you want us to be rumoured with? Again, Daniel, the difference between me and you is my ambition is a lot higher than yours. Sorry, that's really direct and really blunt. But any fan that comes in and constantly talks to me about the word backup is still stuck 4 or 5 years ago when we had this issue with Poch. every player, do you remember, G? Every player that was linked to Spurs, fans said, would he come and sit on the bench? Who would play behind Kane? It's a squad game, right?
Yeah, I met a guy once who works for Southampton. He was quite high up at Southampton. And when he came to Spurs, Pochettino, he said he will get a tight little group around him. And that's exactly what he's done. At bare minimum, I mean, to me, the 11 he had, it sort of fell in his lap a little bit, I think. But we don't know whether he didn't want to sign anybody else or whether Levy blocked him. But that's when the team needed strengthening when he was in charge.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
He did some good things. Look, we're not washing him down the plug hole straight away. He did some good things, obviously. But to me, when I watched him at PSG, he looked lost.
Yeah, he did. But let's not go down the Poch route because you'll have people coming to your house with hate mail, Graham.
No, that's fair enough. Everybody's got an opinion. I mean,
most Spurs fans think he's the best thing since sliced bread to happen to Tottenham. Right, this is one that always gets me, Graham, is when fans say spending big doesn't always work either. If that's the case, then no one should ever complain about Man City and Chelsea and Man United spending big. If you're telling me it doesn't always work, how did Man City and Chelsea win everything that they've won? Was it through spending big?
If you look at the league table, the teams that spend the most are at the top, and the teams who haven't spent much are at the bottom. And that will be the same all the way through. I mean, I watch a lot of National League South football. I'm a great Dartford fan as well. And the teams that have gone up this year are the ones who've had all the money, bigger budgets. I know money doesn't always buy success, but to buy it is enough help.
Yeah. So Daniel has said, I agree with Graham. The frustration is we haven't done this for years, which is why we want nothing but top notch. However, we need a squad. Richarlison as a backup. I can't. It's the word backup. It's the word backup where we such small club mentality. When City, when Chelsea, when Liverpool sign players, let's look at this, Graham. Right? Man City. Does Sterling play every game?
No.
Does Foden?
No.
Does Jesus?
No.
Does Mahrez?
No.
Right. Does Grealish?
No.
Does Gundogan?
No.
Does Bernardo Silva?
Nobody does.
Right. They don't play every game.
No.
So when Man City go and buy a player like Grealish, no fan turns around and goes, oh, well, he's a good backup. What they all do is they all play 30, 31 games a season and rotate. And Spurs fans, for me, sorry, I'll call it out. I'm straight talking. For me, so many of our fans, Graham, their mindset is stuck so much in that Poch era where we can't have anyone who sits on the bench.
No, see, luckily, the latter part of the season, the second half of the season, Son and Kane played every game. Now, hopefully not, this will happen, but beginning of next season, you don't know. Both of them might get injured early on. What do you do then? You're looking at the bench, and you've got Dane Scarlet sitting there. No disrespects to him, but we've got to look at Liverpool as the mind. It wasn't so long ago where we were finishing above Liverpool every season. Now, look at them now, look at their squad now, and look at ours. What's the difference? You know,
Squad.
Yeah, the squad. He's got, I think, 7 forwards, did we say last year, Liverpool had. You've got to keep doing that. I mean, Firmino was doing brilliantly, but he shifted him out, didn't he? And Jota's played more than he has. You've got to be ruthless at the top. When you're right at the top, you've got to be ruthless. You've no sort of, well, hang on a minute. I mean, nobody's going to drop Son and Kane as players, but there's so many matches you've got to have, and people will come and sit on the bench. I can tell you that now, because if you put the money in front of them, they'll be quite happy to, because they know they're not going to be on the bench all the time. They're going to play.
Yeah, I think this is the key thing for me. And guys, hit the likes. We're on 36 likes, and at the moment we are stuck very much on 828 subscribers, which means no one today has subscribed. Let's talk about this then. So before we go back to Richarlison, I don't understand, right? I've never understood, and you know this, Graham, I've never understood when fans talk about what we've just said, who will come and sit on a bench. For me, and even like when Will was on my show the other week, Will turns around and he's the biggest Heung-min Son supporter in the world. We know he is, right? Nothing wrong with that. Even he said, Kane and Son are going to need to learn that there will be times when they are not in the team, right? You've got 38 Premier League games, Graham. Right, let's assume we get out of our Champions League group. That's 10 games. If we get half decent in the Champions League, that's 48 games. Now let's say we have 4 in the League Cup, 5 or 4 in the FA Cup. we're nearly touching on 60 games plus a World Cup sandwiched in between. Yet our fans will go, oh, well, who's going to come and sit on a bench? And Kane and Son, apparently, and Kulusevski are going to play 60 games in a year. Football's not like that anymore, is it?
Well, they won't do because they'll pick up injuries. Obviously, they're going to pick up injuries. And then you've got to make sure the backup, we'll use those words, backup. You've got to make sure the other players in the squad are good enough to come in.
Yeah.
Now, our bench this year, to be honest, must have been the weakest in the Premiership almost.
It's awful, wasn't it?
There was no experience. I mean, we had 4 youngsters, I think, a couple of defenders, Winks, I suppose, Moore and Bergwijn.
Yeah.
But then, to me, none of those are good enough. You said they're coming. They don't improve the side, and they're not good enough to be even as on a par with the players we've got.
Yep.
We've got to have a bench where people come on like for like. Then you can rotate. Then you can move somebody out and put somebody in. You know. And also, you've got the skill of it. I think is what team you play for the opposition you're against. That's the thing as well. You've got to look at it and think, right, we've got Liverpool at home this week. Yeah. We want Son and Kane to play. You know. So you've just got to look at it, and it's a different story perhaps when you play Fulham at home or whatever. Right. I'm just throwing that out.
That's a great point, Graham. Right. So my point, whenever fans say this to me, is okay. We've battled to get in the Champions League, and everyone's talked about how they've missed it for the last 3 years. We've got back in the Champions League. Wednesday night we could be playing away at Bayern Munich, right? I'm just using them as an example, right? We could be away at Bayern Munich, away at Milan, away at Madrid, in a tough, grueling game, right? Then we could be playing the 12 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday. Now, people are not telling me that Kane, Son, Kulusevski are going to just keep going Wednesday, Saturday. It can't be that. Let's just quickly go back to some of the messages. Yeah. Hazef has said, hey, Sav, I hope you're doing well. We desperately need a top quality midfielder, someone who dominates games. Can't agree more. Do you think we can get someone like Milenkovic-Savic? Now, Milenkovic-Savic of Lazio is one of those where I look at and people talk to me about Richarlison at 60 million. If I've got 60 million, I want players like this. I want players like James Maddison. I want game changers, not Richarlison.
Well, this is what Liverpool and Man City do, isn't it? They buy top quality players all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Liverpool. They had Mane, Salah, and Firmino that won a league. Yeah, that finished second in a league, that won a Champions League. They then bought Jota to add to that. They then bought Diaz to add to that. They're buying Darwin Núñez to add to that. They've bought Fabio Carvalho from Fulham, who is a quality player,
absolutely,
to add to that. And Spurs fans are stuck in the mud going, oh, well, who are you going to buy? Who's going to be a backup? Look how many games Jota, Diaz, Mane and Salah all played this year. Can anyone get me the stats on those 4, how many games they played this year and how many Firmino played? Could someone be so kind? This I completely disagree with David. Sorry, mate. We're saying Poch gave Levy a list of 4 players and said he didn't want second or third choices, so he ended up getting nobody. What I'm hearing from people within the club, I don't know, you heard the same thing, Graham, is that Pochettino actually turned down a lot of good players. There were reports that Pochettino turned down the chance to sign Pereira, that he turned down the chance to sign Tielemans. Yeah. So I don't always believe these things that I hear.
It goes back to what I said. He likes his tight little group.
Yeah.
That guy said to me, he said he likes a tight little group. He doesn't want loads and loads of players. Some managers are not very, I mean, Klopp couldn't care less, could he? He don't care if you drop somebody out.
No.
You know, and bring somebody else in. The players have got to make sure they get back in the side again. Whereas Poch, I think, was probably a bit nicey-nicey. You know, you like to keep it. I mean, the team did very well. You don't want to be.
It did do well.
But that regime, that era, has probably cost us now over the last years. That of not building on it. See, Levy was happy as everything, wasn't he?
Yep.
We were doing well. We got to the Champions League final. He wasn't spending a lot of money.
Yep.
You know, crikey, he must have been absolutely delighted.
And now he thinks that we can do that all the time.
Well, it's it. He brought Mourinho in, hoping that would happen. Don't spend much money. Manager does the job. Nuno, I don't know about that. And Conte the same. Get a top manager and hopefully you'll make an averagey squad into deep. Doesn't always work.
So, okay, let's have a look. So Freddie, hello Freddie, has said spending big doesn't always work, but in capital letters, it works most of the time.
Yes.
This is the thing.
Correct.
So if, as I've said, if fans are going to tell me on one hand, they're going to back Levy and Inick and say, well, spending big doesn't work. you can't complain then when Man City go and buy lots of players and Chelsea and Liverpool do and say, well, they're only winning because they throw money at it. It can't be both. It's one or the other.
Those two at the top are going to take a hell of a lot of catching.
Oh, we're miles off.
Hell of a lot of catching.
We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna come to that, Graham. Don't worry. Craig Harlow said, "Hey, Savva, Graham is back. Excellent." Oh, you've got a lot of
My
fans.
favourite person, Craig.
Craig Harlow. Remember?
Favourite person.
Richard Knight, great debut last night on Bob Spur TV. Savva, yes. Apologies, I was ready for bed, if I'm honest, and Bob got me on. Facts if we're wasting money on the wrong players. We have, but again, I feel like we constantly buy a lot of players that have a half decent season, rather than you always feel that with Liverpool, it always feels like they've been tracking the player they want for a while. You can tell they've got an ethos and a plan. I don't ever feel we have. Here's one. Let's get stuck into this. Twisted Complex. You can't just say you don't like the word backup though, Savva. Well, I can, and I have. What player who will ever buy will be better than Kane? The answer is none. Again, I apologise that your mentality is so bad. Who said they were going to be better than Kane? Nobody said they were going to be better than Kane. But like we've just said, how did Liverpool do it when they had Firmino, Mane and Salah, then bring in Diaz and Jota? Which Liverpool fan? Any Liverpool fans in the comments? Ilias, I think you're in the comments as a Liverpool fan. Please tell me, at what point did you ever go, oh, we don't want them, they'll sit on a bench? And how much did your manager rotate them, Ilias? I just don't get it.
Captain Fresh.
I don't get it.
You're not going to get many Canes, are you? To be honest, you're not going to get many Canes. But what if he gets injured? But
you won't get many Mo Salahs.
No. Well, what if they get injured? What do you do then?
Right. It's madness. Again, Mark, this is it. I hate the word backup. Yeah. I'd say competition. Yes. Wouldn't it be lovely, G, right? Wouldn't it be lovely for Kane, for Son, for Kulusevski to have players breathing down their neck, knowing that you have a bad 60 minutes, right, you're off? Because this year, Son wasn't brilliant in every game. No. Kane wasn't brilliant in every game. Kulusevski had games where he was anonymous. They're the games where you want to be able to go, right, all right, Son, Kulu, you come off for half an hour. We're going to stick in Gabriel Jesus and someone else.
See, how many times did Conte bring on Scarlet, White, and any of those? Never. Because he knew they weren't ready to go on there.
Yep.
You know? With 20 minutes to go, 25 minutes to go, you're losing 2-1. Son struggling a little bit, and you've got someone really decent on the subs bench. That's when you put him on. Yep. He can win the game for you.
Yep.
You know.
Ryan said, as long as Richarlison does more than Lucas and Bergwijn, he can't not do more than them two, to be honest. I think they're both really poor.
Somebody made a very good point, the one before, about 5 subs.
There we go. Just fly.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, 5 subs. I mean, no wonder Klopp and Pep wanted that. They got five diamonds on the bench, you know. So you can use 5 there. We're playing Man City and it's 1-1.
Yeah,
they're going to be bringing 5 subs on of top quality, and we don't want to be bringing youth academy players on, do we?
No.
So that's what we've got to get this window right. We've got to improve the squad, improve the 11, yes, improve the squad as well. Yeah, definitely,
absolutely. And this comment I don't get. Liverpool may have 7 strikers but not centre forwards. I don't know what that's got to do with anything. In this day and age, you've got to have players that can play across the 3. That's the beauty. When you look at a player like Son, when you look at players like Diaz, Mane, Salah, they can all float across the 3 positions.
Forwards then is the other word, isn't it?
Forwards, yeah. Clubs don't sign players to be backups. Well, top clubs don't. And if Spurs want to be a top club, we've got to stop thinking about this. Hitting the likes costs nothing. Daniel said, we are not Man City, Liverpool or Chelsea. Top quality players prefer these clubs over ours. It's a fact. Liverpool City win things we don't. Building the squad is key. He's better than Moura. Yes, I agree. We're not those clubs. But surely the whole point in our revolution is to now start trying to chase those clubs down. And you can't chase those clubs down, Daniel, if you've got the same mentality that you had when you weren't chasing those clubs down. The mentality of our fan base, I don't mind saying it, Graham, most of our fan base, the mentality is shocking. Sorry.
If we don't get the bench right and these players like Kane and Son get injured, we are hitting the buffers big time.
Yeah.
That bench has got to be miles stronger. Whoever it is, people will come in. People will come in.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing 200 grand a week.
Yeah. See, I want a world-class centre forward, but it looks like Paratici's looking for more adaptable strikers. Yeah, but Dave, I would make you wrong then and Paratici right if that's the case. If you bring in someone that only plays centre forward, i.e. a target man, then yes, you are bringing them on and saying you're only ever going to play when Kane doesn't, because they don't play the channels. By bringing in someone that can play any of the three positions, you can rotate them in every other game.
You've also got to bring in players that suit the style of the team and the manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, a certain style he plays.
Yeah. Luan's made a great point there. Players only have about 2 to 3 weeks before next season starts. Kane and Son need help.
Absolutely.
Glad to see Graham back, said Joseph. The Don is cooking ready-made meals so far. Yeah, look, we're about to come on to this. I'm just going to go through a few more comments. I'm not overawed with what I'm seeing, but we'll come on to this. So if you don't like the player, but Conte wants him, he's the wrong player. I think I'll stick with Conte. But Marco, that's a really immature statement. We're just having a debate, right? Of course, if Conte brings a player in, Conte brings a player in. But that doesn't mean that we all just turn around and go, oh, Conte loves them, we all have to love them. That's not how football works, is it? Conte rates Ryan Sessegnon, who I think is absolutely dog shit. Doesn't mean I have to rate him.
He speaks well of you.
Yeah, he might do. I don't get fans like this. This is the sort of fan who will say something like, oh, you think you can do Conte's job then? We may as well shut down all podcasts. There's no point in debating with fans.
Everyone was telling Conte what to do during the last part of the season, weren't they? You know, so
yeah,
he knows best.
Listen, he does. But again, we'll come to this in a minute, Graham. Yeah. My part is are we definitely sure they're his signings? How do we know?
There we go.
Because again, we're going to talk about Jed Spence. You're not telling me that he's scoured the world, Conte, and gone, here's my first choice for right wing back.
Well, Paratici's doing all the donkey work. Now, whether Conte tells him or then he turns to Conte and says, look, I've got Spence lined up here. What do you think? As I was a manager, I'd want to know who was coming in. All this about where the manager doesn't do it, he just coaches. It all comes back to the manager at the end of the day, doesn't it? If the team doesn't do well, it all comes back to him. It doesn't come back to Paratici and everything. He keeps his job. Like the other fella, Hitchens, was there too long, probably. Yeah. But it all comes back on Conte, you see. So he's not going to want to bring people in who are duff. Yeah. Not Damien.
Just quickly, Ian Barron is the Mad Darlow fan I was telling you all about.
Right.
Good afternoon to you as well. Sorry to hear that you're struggling with COVID. Just sit up, rest up, watch loads of Savva Talks Spurs and all the other YouTube channels I'm sure you watch. Yes, and looking forward to seeing David Wheater play for Darlington next season. Are you listening to it? Let's get into a row with this bloke. I'm only joking. Shug Knight. A bit hypocritical to call Carvalho a quality player. He's a championship player.
Well, can I just say here, I'm not saying because I've been years in it. I don't want to sort of go down that road. I watched Carvalho play for Fulham, and I thought, this bloke is something special. Mm-hmm. He is something special. Liverpool wouldn't have signed him if he's not top class. Yeah. They've obviously looked at him. I think he's a special player. He can play.
I do.
He's the sort of player we could have done with in midfield, I think, who opens defences up.
Yeah.
Very good player. I don't know whether you've watched him, whether you're a Fulham fan or whatever. I think he's top quality, this guy.
I've watched him a number of times this year and lots went through him for Fulham. Listen, I'm not saying every player that comes out of the Championship isn't good. Look at Andy Robertson. Look at Delhi for his first couple of years. But, this guy ripped it up in the league. You watch him play for Fulham, he's brilliant.
Technically good.
Yeah. Freddie has said, Poch didn't want to sign players in January 2016 because he was afraid he'll mess up the team harmony. If we had signed players in that window, maybe would have been Leicester to the title. Maybe.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
Maybe.
Good point.
To be honest, I think we need to sort out this defence out rather than signing attacking players. Well, Marco, I think the whole point is we need to strengthen everywhere. This year, we couldn't bring on anyone other than Bergwijn and Moura, who hardly ever score goals. So we do need to sort out attack as well as defence, as well as midfield. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. I'm not going to be able to read them all out. Savva, why can't we get Milakovic and Richarlison? Give me both. Peace. Who's Sorry, I don't know who you mean. Do you mean Milenkovic-Savic? If we can get Milinkovic-Savic, I'd be all over that. Sorry, Stewie is desperate to join the stream. Yeah. Apologies. He doesn't like being away from human beings.
He'll probably talk more sense than us anyway.
He does. And
more sense.
He agrees with me. He wouldn't bring in Richarlison either. Let's have a look. Savva, here you go. This guy makes me laugh. Savva, you're obviously confused. Jota is a backup, a very good one, but because what happens when you win a league title, I like your shows, but be realistic. Right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. When fans like you come out with absolute dribble like this, my job is to actually go away and do a little bit of research. So let's do that. Diogo Jota was a backup who played 35 Premier League games. A backup who played 35 Premier League games. Let's have a look now. Mo Salah played 35 Premier League games. Is he a backup? Sadio Mane played 34 Premier League games. He didn't play as many as Jota. Is he a backup? Firmino only played 20. You would say he was more of the backup. Luis Diaz, who was only signed in January, played 13 towards the end of the season. So, Daniel, I'm going to say this. These allow you to type onto that little keyboard in front of you and Google. So, sorry, that's a ridiculous statement.
Think Klopp very cleverly handled that squad.
Brilliantly.
It's a squad game.
Of course.
He handled that squad brilliantly. There were games where Salah didn't play, where it's a very tough job, that is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get all those good players. I know it's great to have them, but you've got to pick the right ones on the right day. You know, that's the hard part that Pep. We'd all like that. Obviously, we'd like the Spurs to be like that. But
mate, look here. Like Ian Barron summed it up. Liverpool, I'm guessing if you take Nunes, if they buy Darwin Nunes, you're looking at 200 million on 3 forward players in a year.
Well, I said at the beginning, it's going to take, to me, 300-400 million to
of course it will.
So maintain us there as well. Maintain us in that position. Liverpool, as I said before, we finish above them all that time. So what have they done that we haven't?
Yeah, they went out and bought a squad. They built a squad, right? Yeah. Let's have a look. So Eddie Ryan said Spurs fans should stop looking at YouTube because they look world beaters on it. Not sure who you're referring to. Could you let us know which players you're referring to? Graham and I watch a lot of football. Like Graham comes over to mine every Sunday. We have a roast with my missus. That sounded really, really wrong. That sounded awful. And to be fair, Graham, what we do is we watch a lot of games from across Europe. Yeah. So we'll watch the French midday game. We'll watch the Spanish game on Prime.
I watch all levels as well. As I say, I watch a lot of non-league football. There's some good players in the non-league.
Yeah.
A lot of the players in the non-league, when you look where they've come from, they've been at Everton for 8 years. Arsenal I watched a couple of guys this year Spurs have got rid of playing in the National League South, and they've been dreadful. You think, God, how did they ever get in Spurs' outside squad, even in,
Alf Martin has said, what are we talking about today? Alf, welcome. Alf is a Man United fan. Hello, Alf. Paul, hello. Paul is my favourite human being in the world right now. He does all of my thumbnails and my videos, etc. And he won't let me pay him. So thank you very much, Paul. You're a very talented guy. Shug Knight is back. He said, our bench should be Lucas, Davis, Skip and 4 new players. Now, I'll be honest. Davis, yes, I like Davis. He's a versatile squad player. Skip, I can take or leave Skip, on the bench. Lucas, for me, surely now we've seen enough and doesn't offer anything when he comes off a bench. But it's not just about having 4. We need a bench and then more. Look how many people won't get into the Man City or Liverpool squad at a weekend because they've got options. And I'm not saying we're them, but when many fans tell me that Conte wants a title challenge, you can't have it both ways. You either bring in a squad for a title challenge or you don't.
We have too many players who've been there too long.
Far too many. And Lucas is one of them. And I know you like him.
I've liked Lucas, I must admit. When he got 15 goals a season and, the hat-trick, to me, he's not improved at Spurs. Whether it's lack of games, I don't know. But he definitely needs to move on. Another season of being on the bench all the time, coming on. It's hard to come on for 10 or 15 minutes. I think people expect them to come on and be world beaters.
Agreed.
Everybody's up with the pace of the game when you come on. It's very difficult just to come on for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, it's a waste of time sometimes bringing them on for that little time.
Lucas said, you're right to call the fans like Savva. People think I'm negative because I call out the small-time mentality mind frame and Levy's BS. Look, I've done it. Look, this is why I'm Marmite to people. For years, for a decade, I've been calling out the mentality of the club and the fans because I've been right, because we haven't won anything, because we never do what's necessary. When we were in a title race, I always use it loosely because we finished nowhere near winning it. Every fan was, who'll come and sit on the bench? Who'll do this? Who do you buy? That mentality doesn't win you things. You don't win with an 11. Carlson's not just a target man. Nope, he's not. Twisted Complex, well, you tell me how often Salah and Mane sit out the big games. But that's not the point.
But we're going back to what we said about the big game. The big games, you want them playing.
Yeah. But I've not once said bring in players and then Kane and Son if don't play the big games.
If Liverpool playing Man City, you wouldn't leave Salah and Mane out, would you?
Yeah.
If you were playing Burnley, you might say, well, you rest up this one. After an hour, if you're not winning, then you bring them on. Unfortunately,
sorry, Twisted Complex, you may be a great guy, but unfortunately, my mindset and your mindset, we're at two different paths. Because again, like you've said down here, so therefore there'll be backup. You're using the word wrong. It's competition. Diaz played 35 league games. Yeah, Jota played 35 league games. Diaz played 13 when he came in at the end. So between them, that's 48 appearances for two players you're telling me are a backup. 48 appearances and 20 goals.
I think Jota's been one of the big signings over the last couple of years.
I think
it was a great signing to get him in. When nobody else really would have done, probably.
Yeah.
But Klopp's obviously seen something he likes in him.
Yeah.
And he's been a fantastic success.
Yeah. I watched James Ward-Prowse last night. I think I'll take Erickson. For me, listen, I said this for ages, Peter. James Ward-Prowse is one of the best players in the world for free kicks. Of that, would you agree, Graham? His free kicks?
Yeah, he's good. And right. How many goals he scored for Southampton this year? 14?
I don't know.
15 probably?
Maybe 8 or 9 free kicks.
Tremendous.
Right. But as a player, who are you getting more from? Christian Eriksen or James Ward-Prowse?
Well, I'd go Erickson every time.
Yeah, me too. Peter, I agree with you. I think people get caught up in the glamour of an English player and his set pieces, which are wonderful. But this isn't rugby. This isn't American football when you can bring him on just to take them and then take him off.
Nice idea. Yeah.
Not sure. Which is Conte subs ain't questionable. Okay, I don't know what that means, Daryl. Savva, come on. Sessegnon is not absolute dog shit. Do you have to push everything to the extreme? I would say he's young and in need of game time. Sorry, I think he's dog shit. He's been here 4 years. He can't beat a man. Yeah. His defending is very, very questionable. He's got no strength to his game. His passing's very poor. I'm sorry. How long do we say a young player? He's been with us for 3 or 4 years. What do you think of Sessegnon, Graham?
Not for me. He's got no drive, has he?
No.
You know, when Robertson gets it, he's got a bit of drive in him. He looks nervous all the time. And all right, he's done a couple of little side foot crosses, but no, not good. I mean, I've said to Fulham people they wouldn't have him back, so that probably says it all. But
here you go. Stop talking down to people who watch your shows. We're allowed to have an opinion. No wonder you get hassle. Daniel, you are being blocked. See you later. The moment you start talking about the wonder I get hassle, you can go and fuck yourself. Thank you very much. See you later. Listen, it's all football opinions. If you don't like the way I debate, then go and watch another show like Last Word on Spurs with your poor little mentality. It's things like this. Again, look, I don't know what Spurs fans watch. God, there's so many comments. There are so many comments. Like, he's not, is he? Let's talk Spence. He's not
right. Well,
quality.
I watched Spence last year. I mean, obviously, he was with Warnock at Middlesbrough and fell out with him big time. Because Warnock, he shouts and swears, and I think Spence didn't like it, so they fell out. He's gone to Forest. I watched him one game last year. He was magnificent. I thought, wow, look at this bloke overlapping. But I've watched him in subsequent games, and he's not looked so effective. And if you're looking at stats, and I hate stats personally, but looking at this particular stat, contradicting myself, I think he scored 1 goal and 4 assists.
Yeah.
In the Championship. That's not great, is it? But let's see what he does. I mean, I thought Doherty improved a lot last year. He came on well, and I'd like to see him given a bit of a chance. Royal, I mean, I mean, I watched Barca as well, and to be honest, they all laughed when Spurs took him because they couldn't believe that they would they would buy him. He's again a big lump, really, isn't he? He's got no mobility. I would replace both those wing backs. If you're going to play wing back, and I know Conte will do. He's not daft. He's looked at those two.
Yeah.
He might say to you on Sky Sports, sitting on there, well, he's not going to say he's rubbish, is he?
Yeah.
But for me, again, opinion. Not for me. Don't think he's good enough.
I just think the whole point of us getting into the Champions League was that we were talking about, right, we're going to actually start running this club differently now, and that they were going to actually back a winner who wants to go and win. And no one's going to tell me that his first choice right wing back across the whole of Europe and the world is Spence. Luan, again, I agree with you. He said, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is called squad rotation regarding Liverpool. I watch Liverpool, and one game it's Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago. The next game you might have Curtis Jones, Keita, Henderson. These are the options they give themselves.
Yeah, Klopp has been given the tools, hasn't he?
Yeah.
All these tools he's got at his disposal, and he implements it, doesn't he? He'll take Henderson off and put somebody else on. That's what it's all. That's what we've got to aim for. To have like for like, you take that one off, you bring a player on. You don't want to bring somebody on who's nowhere near good enough, do you? Really, it's not good.
Stuart said, listening to the dude on the left, and after 30 seconds, I think this dude knows his shit. Depends which way he's looking. I think that's you. It's you. It's this guy.
Great, Stuart. I love that. I love that talk and banter.
Good.
Well, look, I'm not professing to be right in everything I've done, but I have been there, seen it, and done it. But that means nothing sometimes, is it? So,
well, this is another narrative I don't agree with. Fair enough, each to their own. But when people say as long as Conte is happy and backed, Graham, the word for me is backed. It's very subjective. For me, signing Jed Spence isn't backing a manager that has ambitions to win things. Sorry, that's just me.
I just wonder how much Conte's actually seen him. Does he sit and watch Notts Forest? I don't know. Or is he going totally? I mean, he can't do everything at the club, Conte, does he? He has to have some people. Some people have got to go out and watch these players. Now, Paratici's obviously said, what you want is a wing back who gets forward, gets the ball across. I've seen a guy at Forest, he won't cost us a lot. Yeah. I would imagine that goes along the conversation. Now, at some stage, Conte has to give Paratici a little bit of license because he can't do everything. But so they must have seen him play. They've got thousands. I've been in rooms where these scouts have been, videos galore. They're getting them all day long. People are sending videos of players. He would have watched him a lot, I would have think, on that possibly. But he can't do everything, Conte. He can't watch everything.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about Ibanez shortly. Yeah, I agree. Lucas and Stephen Bergwijn, thank you. But come on, let's raise our game. Let's have some ambition. And that's the name of this show, right? Is this ambition? The problem is you get a lot of fans that will literally just like every single player we try and sign. And then they're the same fans that will want to know why we've not won anything. Would you take Rashford? No. Graham, for you?
No, definitely not. He's gone to pieces, isn't he?
Yep. Spencer's been judged and not kicked a ball yet. Look, it's not about him being judged. For me, at the end of the day, I thought we were talking about getting Champions League. We were told, get the stadium, get a world-class stadium, tick. Get a world-class manager, tick. Right? Get Champions League football, tick. Get the director of football they want, tick. Was all of that to buy players out of the Championship that didn't even set the Championship alight? Surely there's levels of ambition. Jed Spence could come in and be brilliant. But if he's not, fans will say, give him time. And surely, Graham, it's no longer about get young players for time. Surely now is the time where we go ready-made.
Yes.
Ready-made.
Unless he sees Doherty as the main one and then him as a number two. I don't know. But I've seen him do well. Don't be. I mean, I agree. Give him a chance. Yes, we can't. But we've watched him in other games, and we're just going by what we've seen so far. The assists worry me a little bit. The assist, because if you're going to play wing backs, you want those wing backs
to assist.
Otherwise, why have them? That's what they're there for. Open the pitch up.
And he got 4 in a promoted Championship team.
Great.
It doesn't scream.
The bloke in front of him, Brannon Johnson, I like. like.
Oh, yeah.
He's got tremendous stats. If you look at his stats, he's really.
If fans support the dross, then we get dross owners, feeds the fan base what they want until we raise standards. Nothing will change. Again, that's Coach Silva. That's what I've been pushing for years, is that mentality shift. I've said it for years. If you keep buying these average players, we won't achieve. And for years and years and years, I keep being told that the players we're signing aren't average, and I don't know ball. You don't understand football. But for years and years and years, we've not won anything. We've not achieved. So there must be some merit in what I'm saying.
We're going to make some losses over some of these players as well, because nobody will pay 65 million for Ndombele. So they have spent money, but spent it very unwisely. Again,
Bumper K, I agree. Yeah, if you want Kane and Son to be fresh in the big games. Look, there's been games this season where Man City, for example, coming up against a big game in the Champions League, the league game before, they can rest whoever he considers to be his top three, Mahrez, Foden and Jesus. And he can put in Grealish, Sterling and whoever. That's the beauty of a squad. And I just don't think so many of our fans understand this word squad still. We're so ingrained about an 11.
Yeah, without a big squad, a good quality squad, we're going to struggle to maintain the top positions.
Put on right on cue. Max Ryder, we need a squad. Squad win titles, not an 11.
Correct.
For sure. We're going to talk about Paqueta in a bit. I think he's a class act. We'll talk about him in a bit. Shug Knight said Kulu is a better signing than Diaz. Again, right nowism. That's right nowism, because what you've done is you've picked a bloke that's come in and had to start every game because we don't have quality, versus a bloke that's gone into Liverpool and hasn't started every game because they rotate, right? Let's see what happens this year. I'm not saying Diaz is better. I'm not saying Kulu is better, but they've both just joined. Give them some time, because this is what we do as fans. Immediately, we belittle everyone else's signings and ours are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah? Diaz is a phenomenal footballer.
Very good player. Excellent player.
Beats a man for fun.
Would Liverpool have signed Kulu? I don't know. Would Kulu have been on there? Let's be fair. Kulu has done really well.
Yeah.
He's really surprised people. The thing about him, the ball's always stuck at his feet, isn't it?
I
mean, Moura and Bergwijn ought to watch Kulu a bit and see that if you haven't got good touch. If I go and watch players, I like to see first touch. Good touch, because it gives you a little bit of time to do the next step, the next thing.
Yeah.
And he's got it. Well.
I mean, I think one of the things we always talk about, Graham, is for me, players like Bergwijn and Moura, they look like drunks in an alleyway when they've got the ball.
Ball's never at their feet. It's running away from them all the time.
Right. Yeah. And those players aren't good enough. But sorry, this is brilliant. Yeah. Mate, these people play way too much FIFA. It's not an 11 we need. We need a squad to compete. Mate, spot on, it's a no-brainer. I think the maturer fans get it. If I'm honest, Kane, I think a lot of the younger fans that play these computer games think, oh, well, this is my 11 that I won on career mode or whatever it is these days on the computer games. We should win. Problem you've got is, as Graham said, imagine in the first month of the season, all these people who are saying backups. Now imagine Kane and Son both do their ligaments in the first month of the season.
Perish the thought.
Right, of course.
But it could happen.
But it could. Now imagine Liverpool. If Salah did his ligaments, you go, okay, well, we're going to play Jota, Diaz and Nunes, right? Fabio Carvalho coming in as well. At Spurs, if one of our top players does a hamstring, we're all sitting there shitting ourselves. There were fans shitting themselves when there were reports that Harry Kane might not be fit to play Norwich on the last day of the season. Norwich. Yeah. Let that sink in. Yes, Shug, I agree with you for once. Erickson is definitely levels above Ward-Prowse. Erickson, Paqueta, Skip, Højbjerg, Bentancur, sorted. I would definitely take that as my 5. We're going to talk about Paqueta. Watch James Ward-Prowse for England. He was pants. I just think for me, he's okay. He's a steady footballer. But I think if you took the free kicks out of his game, there's nothing. There's not a lot there. Liam said, Savva, Klopp has looked at Nunes last season, the season before, and he's also tracked Pedro Neto for about 2 years, who he also wants. Mate, you can see it. When Liverpool buy a player, Klopp integrates them immediately. Yeah. Pedro Neto is another very good footballer. Yeah. Podence, another very good player, the same way Jota was. And What Klopp doesn't do is have them as backup. They play. They all play a lot of football. Mark Scrumpy said, we don't need James Ward-Prowse anymore. Let Son take the free kicks. Yeah, well, Son's scored a few lately, hasn't he? There's a lot of comments. So first of all, thank you. Graham, let's talk about...
Richarlison?
Let's not talk about Richarlison anymore. I think he's kind of been done to death with some of this. Let's talk about Paqueta of Lyon.
Yeah.
Have you seen him? What do you think of him?
I have seen him. I think he looks very good on what I've seen of him. But
yeah.
I always think you've got to almost be at the stadium to sort of judge some players. But
sure.
It looks good to me. I would, if they signed him tomorrow, I wouldn't be upset.
What do you like about him?
Strong. I think strength's important. Good on the ball. Got nice little tricks in his game as well.
Yeah.
Good all-round player.
Yeah.
What we lack, I think, really.
Absolutely. I mean, whenever I've seen Paqueta play, whether it's for Brazil, whether it's for Lyon, he's just got that aura about him, just that little bit of class where football looks easy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's certain midfielders like your Winkses and your Skips where I feel like, work rate 100% is there, but it all seems a bit of an effort. Whenever I've watched Paqueta, it just looks easy. His flicks, his tricks, but backing that up with goals, with assists, creativity, no-brainer for me.
No.
What do you guys say in the chat? Have many of you seen him? For me, I think he's one of those. I would definitely get him into our team. Worried if we get Spence, potentially good but risky. Yeah, and I would like us to stop making potentially good signings. It always seems to be potentially good.
Every signing's risky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Twisted Complex. We've always had a laugh on Twitter, mate. This is the shit I use for YouTube. We need a couple of years before we use Liverpool. No, I get it, mate. Listen, I've got nothing against you. Listen, I think it's really healthy for us to all have different opinions. I do. But when people like Daniel Primus say that he can understand why I get hassle, Daniel Primus wouldn't know the half of what I've actually had to been through with the police and stuff because of people like Daniel Primus making silly comments like that. If a football opinion and an argument or a debate on Twitter is a reason for somebody to be harassed and then I'm sorry, then I don't need people like that watching my show.
People who've got good comments and argue properly wouldn't go down to that level.
Exactly.
You don't need to, it's all about opinions, but once personal things come into it, then ridiculous.
Carrasco, I would definitely take of Atletico Madrid all day long. Eddie Ryan said Cess is very average. Yeah, I think even the word average is kind. I watch better players in the Championship on the left side than Sessegnon. Stuart has said Barca are still laughing. Yes, because Emerson Royal is one of the worst signings in the club's history. Barca, they did. Yeah, they did F us up.
We were desperate, I think, to get somebody in.
Yeah, I think, Peter, look, I agree with you. There's so many I don't believe in the links, but obviously it does give us something to talk about. If I'm not wrong, I believe that the rules in the Premier League have changed and that you can no longer loan a player to a fellow Premier League club. Can someone confirm that to me?
I don't think they'll loan him back.
Can someone? Well, he's a Middlesbrough player, isn't he? He's not a Forest player.
Yeah.
But Kane Legger says Spence is a Levy signing. If he joins, I don't care what anyone says. Conte normally goes for ready-made players. Mate, I agree with you. This is the problem. If Spence joins, I will back him. Yeah, but for me, it doesn't really strike fear, does it, into teams in the Champions League? Conte's used to having people like Hakimi at right wing back, not Spence. Richard Knight said Bogle at Sheffield United had better numbers than Spence at right back in the Championship. Says it all. Well, look, for me, I'm not huge on stats, but I think when we look at assists in a Conte system, they come from the wing backs, right? The ones we've got right now, none of the four are good enough, right? But what I would expect is if we were signing a wing back from the Championship, that at least you go, God, he got 10 goals and 15 assists. And you go, oh, hang on, that's decent. Not 2 goals and 4 assists in 46 games or whatever it is. It's not, what's that, an assist every 11 games?
I mean, he played on the same side as Brandon Johnson, and whether he's giving the ball to him, he's pushing forward and then passing it to Brandon Johnson rather than crossing it. I don't know. I need to watch Forest games.
THFC, I don't care if James Maddison supports Arsenal. I couldn't give a monkey's. Jermaine Defoe's a huge Arsenal fan. Didn't stop him scoring over 150 goals for our club, did it? I keep seeing that Spence only got about 4 assists in the Championship this season. The Championship was about 46 games, plus the playoffs that he played, so that's not exciting. Luan, I agree with you. Look, again, Spence, when I saw him, he looked like a good athlete. He looked like he had a good physicality on him. But again, when are we going to make signings where we go, yeah, that's the top one, yeah. Daryl, I agree with you. I'm happy to attack anyone's opinion. Yep, not the person. Yeah. Percy, from my knowledge, we've scouted Spence for a long time. Yeah, Percy Alamate. Percy lives out there in Barcelona, living the dream.
Well, you would hope they would scout these players over a period of time, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It would be just a sudden thing they would do.
Yeah. Who would we sign if we had the power, and who would you get rid of? Do you want to go? Do you want me to go, or do you want to go?
Well, I like Maddison. I mean, I don't know whether that would come into that criteria. I would get rid of quite a few if I was in charge, but that's you've got to have a squad. You can't get rid of too many.
Yeah.
Who would I sign? Well, I mean, if you had endless money, the obvious ones, really. Certainly, I like Maddison. I would throw the money at him. I think he's a very good footballer and scores goals from midfield as well.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's no-brainers. You know, you want to look at players like Bastoni, Bremer, Ibanez, Skriniar, Paqueta, James Maddison. I think Erickson on a free is an absolute no-brainer of all no-brainers. If Kessie doesn't end up going to Barcelona because of their money problems, I think that's a no-brainer. I think I'd take Guehi of Palace. There's so many players out there. Kostic, Singo. There's so many players. But look, I'm not in charge. Let's see if we can catch up with some of the comments, Graham. I'm sure you would have had a right moan about Kulu and Bentancur coming in. A few unknown gems and a couple of big signings would be nice. Well, no, because as I said, I watch European football. So I know Bentancur and I know Kulusevski. The problem is a lot of fans don't watch any other leagues and then judge the players. This is the problem. I like to think, God, this is going to sound like a real wanky thing to say. I like to think I'm a bit of a student of the game. Graham, you know this about me. I will watch. My fiance hates this. I will watch any game anywhere in the world. Yeah. And especially if there's a player Spurs have been linked to, or if there's a player that Spurs have loaned out, like when I watched Metz 3 or 4 times last year to watch Papa Sarr. And Bentancur and Kulusevski weren't unknowns unless you don't watch European football. They played for Juventus, who pretty big club.
The standard of signings has gone up, to be fair. The last 3, Romero, Bentancur and Kulusevski, is a slight improvement, isn't it? Or more than a slight improvement on what we've done in the past. Hopefully, we're on an upward spiral.
Well, Graham, you can back me up. You're in my WhatsApp groups about football.
Yeah.
When we were linked with them, the first thing I put on the group was, guys, these 2 will completely change our team.
Yeah.
Right. So no, I don't go along with that I would have moaned at Bentancur and Kulusevski. Bentancur's a good player. Yeah. I don't go overboard. He's a good player. Right. Kulusevski, the more exciting of the 2. But again, keep our feet on the ground. Let's see him consistently over this next year, get his feet under the table and see what he does. Jolien Graham has said, unfortunately, the fans are the single biggest problem at this club. The majority accept mediocrity, and until more fans share our elite mentality mindset, we will continue to be average.
Well, you either get fans who see no wrong in anybody, or you get the cynics, or something in between, really, isn't it? I think we're quite critical, aren't we? I think we're not blowing smoke on everybody's bottom, like a lot of people do. There are some Spurs fans who everybody's wonderful, everybody's marvellous.
Yeah,
great. That's tremendously loyal, but it's not true, is it?
Yeah. That's a great sentence. Tremendously loyal, but not true.
Right, okay.
Marco has said, Mako. Sorry, I'm making up an R from somewhere. Look, lads, if Conte wants to win everything, he said it loads of times. If he's not happy with the players, he will walk. Listen, Conte can sit there and say he wants to win everything till he's blue in the face. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. Too many Spurs fans are just going on this, Conte's going to win us everything. Conte will win us things if he's backed. And for me, I'm sorry, Richarlison and Jed Spence doesn't scream ambition. That's just me. It depends where your mindset is. For me, it's just poor.
I mean, Conte obviously would know Richarlison well because we played Everton last season. So sometimes you need a couple of players with a bit of nasty in them anyway. Yeah, it doesn't do a team any harm.
Okay, we have 100 million plus player sales, plus what we made for the qualifying and Champions League money. We have 250 million, or we're mugged by Levy. THFC, I hate to tell you, this is not how football works. First and foremost, I can't keep going over this on my show, right? You read the statement from Levy and Enoch. Nowhere in that statement did it say that 150 million pounds was being spent on footballers, right? Of that 150 million, a big portion of it will be put towards club running costs, the women's team, marketing, stadium upkeep, on and on and on and on. Just because we get 60, 70 million for Champions League money doesn't mean that that is all going into players. And just because we sell players doesn't mean all of that is. I think, all in all, we will probably spend about 140 million. But I also think, Graham, we'll probably make about 1 to 120 back.
Yeah, so it'll be fairly level. They're not. They've never have done it in 22 years.
No.
They've never pushed the boat out enormously. That's why we're nearly at the bottom of that list all the time, aren't we?
Yep.
He won't be much out of pocket at the end of it. They don't play that game, do they, Enoch?
Yeah, again, look, Spence smells of a Levy signing, a potential one for the future. And again, look, it's nothing against the kid. I don't know him.
Yeah.
If he comes in and he's playing behind a top quality right wing back, fantastic. But I'm just saying, do we want this person to come in and be our first choice right wing back? Because Doherty's going to be injured till the end of the summer, they reckon. So he won't start the season.
It'd be interesting now to see whether Levy's influence is the same now with Conte there as it's been with previous managers. I mean, obviously, he's the top man, and he decides what's happening. But I reckon there's no doubt about it. Conte's been in there and bent his ear on. We hope he has.
Perchy, look, I do agree with you. He said, I get what you're saying, but what we said this about Andy Robertson when he was in a relegated Hull City side, so he could easily look differently. Spence could be a good signing, but we need more. Look, I don't disagree with you. I'm not saying that any player coming up from the Championship isn't good. I've just sat there and said about Fabio Carvalho. The difference is when I've watched Carvalho, I go, yeah, you are. He stood out by a country mile. His touch, his control, his vision, his passing, his creativity. When I watch Spence, there's nothing about him that stood out. Good engine, but I would expect most footballers to have a good engine that are playing. So I get what you're saying, Perchy, but let's see. THFC Brown said you can't compare Spurs to City. They have two teams that cost over $1 billion. When have I compared the teams? If you listen to what I'm saying, I'm actually saying lots of Spurs fans, like we've just read out, are talking about, well, Conte wants to win. Conte's saying he's not coming just for top four. He wants to win titles. Okay, so I'm not the one comparing Spurs to City. He is. Now, if you want to start comparing to Man City, you've got to start buying a squad that can compete with Man City's. So which one is it? Are we as a club going to turn around and say, oh, Conte said we're winning leagues? Or are we as a club going to say, well, we're not Man City? It can't be both.
How many years would it take us to compare with City?
Lots.
I mean, they haven't built this team overnight, have they? This squad of players. Each year, see, now they're in a position just to add one or two in all the time. We've got to be adding 11, 12 in now because we've neglected it over a period of time.
Right. That's the big thing for me is the neglect, Graham. Yeah. The big thing is the neglect. And what I would say is, come on, guys, I'm only at 5 subs since we've been on this show. Let's get another 15, 17 and get to 850.
You told me family about it.
Don't forget, once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving away 2 home tickets for every league game. So for all these people like Daniel Prima saying he can see why I get hassle, I also do some very generous things. I like to think. Graham, this is the thing for me. When people talk about could we challenge for a league next year, right? What makes me laugh about this is people are talking like we're coming from a position of strength where we've already got a good 11 and we just need to pad out the squad. For me, we need to, first of all, you add quality to the 11, then you add in more squad, right? What says you?
This is the time to do it, isn't it? You know, in 3-4 years' time, Kane and Son will be, too old or whatever. Now is the time. They're still both of them fantastic, firing on all cylinders. Now is the time to back them with players around them. Otherwise, we're going to look back and say, if only, like we've done with the Pochettino, if only we'd have bought 4 or 5 good top-class players in. You don't want to be looking back to this time and saying the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And that for me, that is where I feel like we just haven't seen any real ambition.
Long way to go in the window yet.
Of course there is. But we've been here many times before.
We've been here many times.
Zolo Golo has said, "Hello, Savva. Why is no one talking about Chelsea as a third horse in the title race? They are linked with Koundé, Dembele, Koulibaly, Jesus, Rice, Sterling, De Ligt." Right. As I always say, Zolo Golo, everyone keeps in every show says to me, where do I think Spurs will finish next year? Where will United finish? Where will Arsenal or Chelsea finish? You know what I say to them? Ask me when the window shuts. When I've seen all the business that Spurs have done and Chelsea, let me know. Now, City, I can turn around right now and go, we're going to win the league, in my opinion, because I don't need to see who they're going to bring in. Their squad is already ridiculous, and they've just added in Alvarez and a certain young Norwegian striker called Erling Haaland. Right? So with them, you go, yeah, they're going to win the league. With everyone else, I want to see who they buy first. But yeah, everyone writing off Chelsea, they've just got new owners who are going to want to spend, Graham, aren't they? They're going to want to make a statement.
I don't think next year will be much different to this. You know, Man City and Liverpool will be the best two. Chelsea, I think, if they sign the right players, will be third. I still think we'll be fighting for that 4th spot. I'd love to think we can finish above Chelsea, but it'd be interesting to see how many players Chelsea sign and quality compared with us in this window. But I don't think it must be much different. I think to catch the top two, and people say, I heard Michael Dawson say we're going to challenge for the league. We've got to be looking to get 93 points, 96 points to do that.
Yeah, it's a big ask, and especially with half our fan base that only want 11 players. Yeah. Alpha said, I've watched Paqueta a lot. I think he's a really class player. Honestly, class. However, I think he don't suit Spurs that much. Oh, yeah. Alpha, I think top players suit everyone. You get the best out of top players. That's what Conte does, right? For us to get to the point where the sub we bring on or play instead of the same quality of the player being taken off will take 4 windows. David, I agree. Hence the reason why I'm not getting carried away when everyone keeps talking to me about a title race. Yeah, City and Liverpool are in title races because they can do exactly what you've just said there. All right, Salah's not playing today. Go on, Diaz, you play. Oh, Mane's at the African Cup of Nations. All right, Diaz, you go and play. Right? Spurs can't do that. At the moment, we're going, Son's at the Son's away with Korea for a month. All right, Bergwijn, you go and play. Kulusevski's injured for a month. All right, Lucas, you go and play. Huge difference. This is a good point, Graham. Kelvin has said we have a maximum of 2 years with Conte. It's players for now or he's gone in a year. Any truth in that?
Well, I don't think he'll hang around. He doesn't hang around anywhere, does he? He doesn't stay very long. It may be at the end of this season, if it doesn't come off, that he'll move on somewhere else. Because other teams are always going to want Conte, aren't they? He's always going to be in demand. That's why I think this window is the most important window we've had for a long time. Mm-hmm. He's got to do good business to back him. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe you'll turn around at the end of it and say, well, I don't think much of the signings. Goodbye. Mm-hmm. You just don't know. But...
Okay, Liam R is clearly a Liverpool fan and said, yes, Savva, also, if you look at Konate, he was watched for years and then Klopp's first choice, and he doesn't look out of place. Again, this is what I mean. You know, Liverpool have had a fantastic pairing of Matip and Van Dijk. They then go and buy Konate, which means that sometimes Matip doesn't start and Konate does. But Graham, my point is, none of the Liverpool fans cry about it. No, none of them say who sits on a bench.
You've got to say the Liverpool fans are being spoiled rotten at the moment, aren't they? They've made some fantastic signings. Their options have been spot on. They've really progressed. Give credit, and the manager obviously he's a great manager, isn't he? Without a doubt,
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, I think that's the only thing for me. Somebody's asked me about his pros and cons. Paqueta, the only thing for me that would be a con is being burnt from the French league. However, there are players that have come over here from the French league that have been excellent. It's about the scouting, right? It's about getting the player right, not the league they come from. Paqueta, for me, the pros and cons, I think, as Graham said, not only is he skillful, with a great touch and technical ability. He's physical. So it's not like when you look at a really small playmaker and go, oh, they can get bullied. This guy's strong. Some of the compilations you can see of him, like I've seen him play, but some of the compilations, if you go and look online about him, his one-touch passing with the likes of Neymar, he looks fantastic for me.
I mean, you look at Mahrez, for example. I think he was scouted from the French second division at Le Havre.
Right.
There are players out there, no matter whether it's the French league, the Polish league, the Icelandic league, there's always going to be players out there. The scouting's got to be good enough to find those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just quickly check in on subscribers. Come on, guys, get me to 850. We're on 834. Can we get 16 more subscribers? Twisted Complex, I know the grief you went through, mate. Good to see you back. Thank you. I appreciate that. It took a lot of soul searching for me to decide to come back and do this. So when people throw it down my throat about the hassle I had, it's not fun for me, but it is what it is. Luan, we spent about 30 million on Ryan Sessegnon. 30 million. Sess is made of glass. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, lots went on, mate. Lots went on. It was ridiculous. Graham, you saw it all unfold for people that think that I'm lying.
It's unnecessary, isn't it? I don't understand people.
Yeah.
It shows their intelligence, I think.
Yeah.
Or lack of it.
Adam, hello, mate. How are you? He said, would you keep Troy Parrott as a third choice striker now for next season and send Scarlet on loan, or the other way around, or both on loan? For me, both need to go out on loan next year, play football.
Yeah, Parrott's a funny one, isn't it, really? I mean, he was a disaster at Millwall. I know a lot of Millwall fans, he was useless.
Yeah.
He's gone to Milton Keynes Dons. Apart from the last little spell of the season, I didn't notice his name very much. Is he ever going to be a Premiership striker? I've got my doubts. He's got to look at him at some point. He's got to bring him back at some point. I think I'd loan him out again, and Scarlet as well.
Mm-hmm.
Scarlet's way off it at the moment.
I think neither of them should be even considered in our first team squad.
Yeah.
For me, I think if you are that good, if you go down to League One at the age of 19, 20, you need to be scoring more than eight league goals. You know, when Jermaine Defoe, I always use this example, when Jermaine Defoe went on loan from West Ham to Bournemouth at the age of 18, 17,
I think Jermaine, yeah.
And he scored 23 or 24 goals, and he scored a club record, like 13, 14 games in a row. Now, that, everyone went, wow,
Jermaine's
who's this?
Never changed. I saw him in the under-11s at Charlton.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant. And he's been brilliant all the way through. Tremendous player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think Perisic is a no-brainer. Again, look, a player that didn't need scouting. You know, you don't have to scout 33-year-olds like Perisic who have been there, seen it and done it. And the fact that he's played for Conte before, this would have just been get him in my squad. Good to get him in early. Very good addition.
See, this is the thing when you've got Conte as a manager, it lures better players in.
Yeah.
If we still had Nuno now, you wouldn't be luring in the better players.
Yeah. Paddy said, we need players for the now, not project players. Yes.
Without a doubt.
Perisic is world class in my opinion. I mean, look, subjective. I think he's a top player. I don't know now at 33 if he's world class, but he's a top player. Dylan, hello mates. Hope you're well from my WhatsApp group. With the limited funds we apparently have, we're going to have to take a chance on one or two, hopefully well scouted players. That's my worry, Dylan, is that are they well scouted? Because our track record isn't that great. Another one, whoever Conte wants does good for me. I mean, I get it, but my worry is it always going to be who Conte wants? Is it not sometimes going to be who Paratici wants?
You'd like to think that every player that comes in, Conte will approve. I mean, as I say, it comes back on him at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah. Pellegrini of Roma is one of my favourite players outside the Premier League. Just oozes that class. And Roma had a tricky spell in the middle of the season when he was injured, and when he came back, they looked really good again. I'd take him all day long.
Yeah, good player.
Question: would you sell Højbjerg and Winks if you have the opportunity to buy Milenkovic, Savic, and McKennie? I would sell Winks if we get Savic. If you were to buy Milenkovic, Savic, and Weston McKennie, I want Savic, McKennie, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Skip. I want 5.
Yeah,
you've got a lot of games.
Yeah,
a lot of football,
and the 5 subs again.
Yeah. David has said Basuma and Maddison, no-brainers for you.
Very good, both.
Yeah.
Maddison's a good. I mean, people question his attitude. Who cares?
Here we go. Matthew is a Crystal Palace fan, I believe. Don't you dare take Guehi from us. Sorry, Matthew. Don't worry. Spurs don't make sensible signings like that, so you're safe. Would you guys take Moussa Dembele as another striker to take with Kane?
The Barcelona one?
No, that's Osman.
Oh, right. Sorry,
Moussa Dembele, who I believe these days is plying his trade at Lyon. Yeah. Let's have a look. Is he plying his trade at Lyon? Yeah. To be fair, I've not really kept up to date with what he's been doing. I would say I don't know enough about him at this stage to comment. Has he been pulling up trees? Can you tell us? Victor Osimhen, I've seen him play. He's decent. I don't know if he's all that, but yeah, Basuma would be good. Always good to watch other leagues. Potential is everywhere. Can't agree with you more, Caveman. Just got to find it. Find it. Leagues are just marginal in terms of skill, talent. Yeah, look, the way I always say it, so many fans will tell me that no other league other than the Premier League is good, and yet not one Premier League team managed to win a European trophy this year. Why? Why couldn't any English team win a European trophy?
People who say that, if you say to them, do you watch the leagues? They haven't watched them. They listen to Sky Sports.
Right. Let's move on to this. Ibanez of Roma.
Yes.
Centre-back.
Yes, I watched Roma quite a bit.
What do you think of Ibanez?
Good defender. See, we're forgetting defenders now. We always want defenders to be people who can play out the back and all this sort of thing. Defenders nick the ball off people. Defenders read the game. Scouting was the hardest for me to scout player at the back because everybody watches the game. People don't watch positional play, concentration. They're all the assets of a great defender, but you've got to be able to read the game. If you can get in and nick the ball off of somebody, you're saving yourself a lot of time. And what I've seen of him, no-brainer. Miles better than Ben Davies. I mean, let's not even compare those two. He's streets ahead of him.
Do you know what I like, Graham, is when I've watched Ibanez play for Roma, he's got that knack of just nipping in front of his forwards and getting the ball before they do. Without being rash as well.
Left-footed central defenders are a gold mine. They're gold dust, aren't they?
Yeah.
Gold dust.
I would love Ibanez.
Yeah. Definitely.
He's big, he's strong, he's good in the air.
The trouble is sometimes people look at what he can't do rather than what he can do.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't do this in certain... Let's look at the overall player. Nobody's that perfect.
Yeah. So just quickly, Paddy, I'm going to disagree with you here. So when we say it's no coincidence the standard of signings have and will improve with Hitchin gone, the difficulty being is didn't Hitchin put Grealish in front of Levy and he wouldn't pay the extra money? Didn't he put Skriniar in front of Levy and he didn't pay the extra money? Didn't he put Tielemans in front of Spurs and Poch said no? Didn't he put... so who we got? We've got Skriniar, Bruno Fernandes. Didn't he put him?
The problem is we don't know, do we? We don't know what went on. Obviously, they've got rid of Hitchins now. He's moved him aside. These last couple of signings have been promising, haven't they? I mean, you go back to the NG and Nkudu and Stamboulis and all those. We spent a lot on those players. Did we look at a great long list of players who we brought in on the cheap?
Yeah.
But yeah, Paratici hopefully will improve. We've just appointed a new scout. I don't know if mentioned that. The Glasgow Rangers guy. I hope it's not to scout the Scottish League. No disrespect to anybody who's Scottish, but I don't think you'll see a lot there. But more scouting. The more scouts, the better.
Let's have a look at this. So Leicester City won the Premier League and they didn't have a huge squad of players of equal ability. Yes, David, but that was an absolute anomaly. And if you look at it at the time, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United were all rebuilding. None of them were in the equation. They were all going through rebuilds. And Leicester City won it because they didn't have any European football. They just played every league game with a team that they kept fit. We can't do that. We're in the Champions League.
You say keep fit. I mean, Jamie Vardy, has been fantastic. I mean, he played for Fleetwood. He played for Stockbridge Celtic. So who scouted him at Stockbridge Celtic? Who took him to Fleetwood? Who scouted him at Fleetwood? He was magnificent that season. He was on fire and he played most of the games. It is a one-off. They'll probably make a film about it in a few years' time. The Leicester City, it's been a great story, hasn't it? I've got a cousin of mine who's a season ticket holder there, so I always follow Leicester a little bit. They've done really, really well. I can't remember that they had a fairly tight 11. I'm sure, but I'm sure they had good backup as well.
Wayne's a Leicester City fan.
Really,
Wayne goes to Leicester City games. Wayne, tell us, when you won the league, I'm not belittling, but would you agree? I mean, it was an anomaly. I don't think any Leicester fan started that season thinking you were going to win it. And like you've said here, you did have 5 or 6 that played out of their skin every game, but you didn't have sidetrack of Europe either, did you? So it was once a week.
Can I say, Wayne, as well, mention the name Steve Walsh? Because Steve Walsh, of course, played for Leicester.
Yeah.
He's scouting some remarkable players for you.
Yeah.
He really did. He brought some diamonds in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He went to Everton and it didn't happen there for him. I don't know what's the problem there, but he brought in some great players like Mahrez, Conte, and people like that. Fantastic scouting. And good luck to him. It was great to see them win the league, really.
I'm not going to answer anything about Sigurdsson. Thank you, full ball.
He's still playing.
Oh, God, mate, let's not even go down that little rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Maley and Spence for wing backs. Listen, if Maley was my first choice wing back and Spence was the rotation for him in lesser games, I'm all for it.
I think he'll keep Doherty on.
Who are we to judge Conte? Well, the thing is, who are we? We're the fans of the club. We're the lifeline of the club. We're the people that pay, right? We can judge who we want. You can't just say Conte's a world-class manager, we can't judge him. Also, has anyone judged Conte badly here?
No, I mean, I wouldn't. He's been there, seen it and done it. I mean, but they don't always get it right, pros. I can tell you that for nothing. They don't always get players right. They're not the greatest experts on other players. I've seen that close hand.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me once, he said, because you're just a supporter, don't mean to say you don't know as much as we do.
Absolutely. And Lynch, when you're saying, why do you think Conte doesn't want the linked players? You're just stirring. I'm not stirring anything. I'm a YouTuber, right? My point is to have a show where there are debates. If I came on this show and went, Conte's the best, Jed Spence is the best right wing back, Fraser Forster's the best goalkeeper we could buy, Richarlison amazing, Stadium's great, Spurs are great. Where's the show?
We're here to talk about them, aren't we? And
Where's
throw
the
ideas
show?
About it,
And also, you're not telling me that Conte, as we've been linked to about 70 players so far this window, he can't have said, I want all of these.
No.
Come on.
A bit of consultation, I think is...
Yeah. Savva, are you not giving away a shirt? I gave away a shirt last week to Jim Bird-Coys. So, yes, I was giving away a shirt. And I did, yes.
Yeah.
Don't know if you're trying to call me out there or not, but it's been done. I'll tell you what, just because some of you are just absolutely terrible at not believing in anything I say, let's see if we can find this. Here we go. Official Spurs Club shop. Can you see that? Can you see that? Yeah? There you go. I ordered a shirt. Jim Bird-Coys wanted Romero on the back. There you can see Romero, an elite Spurs top. Thank you very much. Apologies can come in the post. Josh says, Savva, hello, mate. How are you, by the way? Savva, in my opinion, I would swap Bergwijn for Alan Saint-Maximin, Lo Celso for Pau Torres, Winks for Richarlison, Emerson for Marley, Reguilon for Vindal, Cornet. Mate, listen, what I would say is, look, a lot of the players you mentioned there are absolutely upgrades on the first ones. There are good players everywhere. There really are. And we've been so starved of success. We're so starved of success that people seem to want to take anyone now. Let's have a look. God, we've got so many comments, Graham. There's so many comments. Thank you so much. Let's have a look here. I would take Ibanez and Pau Torres. Me too, because I reckon between them, you could pay 50, 60 million and get 2 centre-halves.
No brainer.
Right. I know everyone's falling in love with, and the only person they all want to watch is Bastoni, but there's good players. If we had a back three of Romero, Pau Torres and Ibanez, Graham, you excited about that?
Exactly. And also we've got a manager who will get the best out of them.
Yeah.
Some managers don't get the best out of players. He's a driver, isn't he? He's like a clock, really. They drive people forward. And Conte's really, driven them forward, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Do I watch England games? I do. We'll talk about England a bit at the
Don't
end.
bring me in that.
Because Southgate is just... Anyway,
Don't bring me in.
Liam has said, Savva, the art of defending with the likes of Maldini, Nesta, etc., they made it look easy. It's now dead because it's all about ball playing and playing out from the back.
Very good point.
Mate, spot on. The problem is now fans want, fans seem to want the ball playing bloke who can bring it out, but we forget about their ability to actually defend. So like when I said last year, someone said to me, is Romero world class? And I said, no, he's not yet. I said, he's a very good centre-back. He's young. He's still learning his game. He's 23. He's still learning his game. But there's certain things that world-class players don't do. World-class players, like you watch Van Dijk, he's never rash, is he? Van Dijk never clatters into, he reads it brilliantly. Now, Romero will cut that out of his game, and I've got no doubt Romero will go on to be a world-class defender. But, and I'm not picking on Romero, I'm actually saying he's the best we've got, but world-class defenders, like you've mentioned there, with Maldini, like Nesta, they read the game superbly. They never really had to do last-ditch tackles because they were always in the right place. And their ability to nick the ball away from a forward was second to none. Good afternoon to you, Ben. David Clark said, Leicester City played without fear. It was incredible. They scout the character as well as the ability of the player. Leicester's scouting over the years has been magnificent.
Way better than ours.
Yeah. Why the hell have we not hit 150 likes? Please do Savva a favour and hit that like button. Yes, thank you very much, Ilias. This is coming from a Liverpool fan. Yeah. We were on 834 last time I checked. We're still on 834. Cool. Are you telling me that every single person, all 165 of you watching, have all subscribed and liked? How many likes has the show got? We've got 106, so we're getting there. Thank you very much for your support. Savva the Devil's Advocate. Yeah, I don't often get called that, but I think as I'm trying to get older, I'm trying to be a bit more level-headed about a few things. So look, the Steve Walsh you talk about isn't the player; it's another Steve Walsh. RE League winning, went out both cups quite early, and Kante was unreal. Was like having 3 extra players on the pitch. Yeah, I mean you've got to have a player like that in your team, right? Where are we? So I'm going to go, Graham. You all right for another few minutes?
Yeah, I'm fine for a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go to the 2-hour mark, 28 more minutes, and then we'll call it quits. And then I better start
Time
cooking.
goes quickly when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Careful there. Can't be putting people's addresses on streams. I don't think I did put the address on the stream. Or if I did, I do apologise. Please just ignore that and blank it out. Apologies. I just thought it was the confirmation. No, mate, I know you weren't. I was messing about with you, Ilias. I was messing about with you. Hope you're good. Savva, how are you? We're good. We are good. We talked about this earlier. My thoughts on Richarlison, it's meh. It doesn't excite me. I thought we were getting Champions League to get some better calibre, but again, if Conte wants him, then
He'll get us a few penalties because he trips over a match during the game.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Full ball. Is Graham related to George Graham by any chance?
No, I'm not. I've met him actually. I've met George Graham. Supposed to be a really nice bloke. He was an absolute. Gosh, I remember watching him coaching QPR's youth team, and he frightened me, and I was only standing watching the game.
Yeah.
Great. He's been a great manager at Arsenal. We don't mention that really.
Let's talk, Graham. Let's.
I'm no relation.
Let's get. I think we've caught up with Josh. I haven't seen this debate. I would love to. I think Gareth Southgate is another boring, negative, monotone manager.
I think he looks at it from a defender's eye.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. Half, and I listen to him on the radio. I don't watch the England games. I'll be honest with you. I don't watch it. I've got other things to do. But
what do you think of this, Graham?
He comes over so boring.
Caveman said, I think it was Maldini that said, if I have to slide tackle, I've already made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of supporters don't see what defenders do during the game, naturally, because your eye follows the ball all the time. But it's positional sense, concentration, all the assets of good defending. People make it easy because they're in the right position. They get into the right position. They're not struggling to get there.
Yeah. Graham, let me ask you a question. Let me just quickly check. Are we up to date? Up to date. Savva, who do you want to take free kicks? Just as long as it's not Dyer or Kane anymore, because none of them ever score a goal. Savva, I agree that Cess is trash. I just think he's so poor. Regarding England have gone now 4 hours without scoring a goal from open play.
I think he's taking the team backwards, don't you?
I think he is. Now he is. The problem is, well, look, let's talk England in a minute. We'll talk England for the last 15 minutes of the show. We'll talk England, seeing as we've got fans from different clubs.
Yeah.
Ilias, just so you know, I really don't hope Poch comes back to Spurs, but we'll talk about that as well, Graham. Cannavaro was the best defender I've ever seen. Yeah, he was one of the best. Graham, let me ask you. This guy seems to cause debate. Christian Eriksen. Now, Spurs are a club with not a single playmaker, with no one in midfield who can put their foot on the ball and dictate play cute passes, spread the play. Eriksen's on a free. He lives in London. He knows the club. He looks like he's enjoying his football again after the really unfortunate incident that happened with his heart. Is this a no-brainer, or would you not take him back?
Talking to people who support Brentford, he made a fantastic difference at the end of the season. He is a tremendous. I mean, he's had terrible. I mean, heartbreaking that was. Look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that sort of. You know what I mean? It was an awful thing to have happened to him. I thought towards the end of his career at Spurs, he dipped. He wasn't as effective that last spell. I would have no hesitation in bringing him back, because, but you know, he'll slot into that position where I think we're lacking the creative midfield player, the player who links up with the front man. Why not? I wouldn't be against him, you know. Yeah, I mean him above Ward-Prowse.
I don't understand. For me, I think you get a player like that in. He's ready-made. He's the heartbeat of Denmark. Look what he did at Brentford. Look what he did for us the first time round. We haven't got a player like that. How much would he cost if we were buying him from a club?
A lot.
50, 60?
Easily, yeah.
So on a free transfer, I can't understand any fans saying they don't want him back. Is there anyone in the comments who wouldn't have him back?
You know, when you talk about a player and you say he's a footballer,
yeah,
he's a proper player. He is. Even if he lasted a season or 2 seasons with us. I mean, how old is he now? I don't know.
29?
Oh, crikey. He's a boy. He's a boy. He is, though, anyhow. He's young. Everybody's young to me. Even their grandfathers young to me. But yes, why not? Why would you not take him back? What reason would you give? Are we going to find anybody better in that position without spending a lot of money? That's the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I can never understand it. Any fan who said they wouldn't want to have him back. Again, when we talk about a squad, when we talk about building a squad, you know, we've got a lack of. Look, let's be fair. Bentancur's a good player. Yeah. I'm not going over the top about Bentancur. He's a good player. Højbjerg's a good player. Same, not over the top. I like Højbjerg. Skip's okay. And then after that, what have you got? So why would you not bring in Christian Eriksen?
As you said before, a lot of games to get through next year. You know.
Yeah, a lot of games. So Ben has said, I'd rather have James Maddison. I'd rather we move forward instead of going back to the past. But I would take Eriksen if he wants to be there. Let's break this down. I'd rather James Maddison, but James Maddison's going to cost you 60 to 70 million. And Daniel Levy doesn't make those signings. I'd rather we move forward instead of going back. Problem is going now. We've what was I trying to say? The problem is, since Eriksen's days, the squad is so much weaker now that going back to get Eriksen isn't going backwards for me. Would you agree?
No, exactly. I mean, I'm a great Maddison fan. So, I mean, I like Maddison. If there was a chance we could have both of them, that'd be great. I would take Eriksen. I think the fact that, as you said, that Leicester are not going to give Maddison away very cheaply, and you can't blame them.
No. Yeah, and this is the one. Hello, Johnny Be Good. Welcome back, sir. Yeah, the guy next to me does know his football. He's worked in professional football for nearly 30 years, scouting, coaching, managing.
At all levels.
At all levels. Knows lots of ex-pros, has done every coaching badge under the sun. Great guy. I'm never going to. As soon as the camera stops, I'll have to watch
punch the daylights
watch my mouth out. Let's have a look at this. This for me from Jason Margetson is yes. When teams sit back and our wing backs can't get in behind, and Kane and Son can't get in behind, that's where you need an Erickson, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was lacking last year. I mean, both Bentancur and Højbjerg sit quite deep, don't they? And he leaves a gap. I know. See, I've said last year, if you watch it, Son and Kulisevich slot back into those positions straight away. They fill the midfield up. But you need somebody, I think, who can link back and front. Who can link the back with the front, can receive it off of Højbjerg. Højbjerg gets it, gives it to Erickson. He can play that wonderful pass. You know,
it's like Kai has said, just like Poch, once was enough. We will get better players in the midfield. I don't understand. If Erickson joins Tottenham, he's the best midfielder at the club by a mile. I just don't understand how anyone looks at our squad and thinks that we couldn't do with him. Now, again, the mentality is, why is it Eriksen or Paqueta? Why could you not go and get both? One's on a free. This is the big mentality we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
If we went out this window and in midfield you went and got Eriksen and Paqueta, now you've got Eriksen, Paqueta, Højbjerg, Bentancur, or Skip as your 5 options.
Would Conte want Eriksen, do you think?
I don't. Well,
in Italy, he didn't play him a great deal, did he?
But the thing is, someone said that over 2 seasons he played 60 games. Somebody said, hang on, I'll tell you what, and just quickly, someone remind me to come back to this. Yeah, so Sky Sports are saying that PSG are finalising the departure of Pochettino. I think he deserves it. I think he's been dreadful at PSG. Who was I checking? Christian Eriksen.
Yeah, no go ask him.
Right. So Christian Eriksen. Let's have a look. How many times? I keep hearing that he was never played by Conte. So if we look at Christian Eriksen, he played, bear with me, callers, Christian Eriksen for Inter Milan, career statistics. So over 2 years, he played 60 games.
Well, there you go.
For Inter Milan. That doesn't scream of someone that wasn't played.
No.
For me, it's a no-brainer. Gogama, you are on every YouTube stream I'm ever in with Henry and Will, and that you're one of the best ones. Big up to yourself out there in Korea. Savva, Conte made Eriksen a deep line playmaker at Inter, similar how Klopp made Thiago that, and with no creativity in your midfield, is the perfect fit. I agree and I disagree. I agree that he did that with Eriksen, but Thiago's always done that wherever he's played. But yes, I take your sentiment. I would take Eriksen back, but the problem is with Eriksen is no one knows if he wants to be associated with Levy. Well, we'll see. You've got to remember that the life event and the trauma he went through changes your perspective on life. You know, somebody who's been through a near-death experience, all of a sudden, those little gripes that you had with people, they're not important, are they?
No.
They're not important anymore. All of a sudden, you know, it doesn't really matter.
Well, he showed his calibre at Brentford, isn't he?
Oh, he wonderful.
Lifted them. You look at the performances at the end of the season, the points they picked up when he joined them.
Yeah.
Now, he wants Champions League football, I read somewhere. So ideally, he missed out Brentford for him. I don't know, but I think he wants another go at Champions League.
Yeah, Ilias, just so you know, you've got no way of knowing this. When fans say he doesn't want to move back because of Levy, we've no way of knowing that. No. Yeah, so the Amazon documentary, think what's happened in his life since then, and adding Conte to that factor. Let's have a look. It's like you said in Henry's stream a while ago, Savva. What does back Conte really mean? Yes, ENIC have put in 150 million, but I bet you not a penny of that is going to improve the squad. Again, look, first of all, I don't know how much of that 150 will. Second of all, even if you spend 150 million, this squad is so dirt of talent.
We need a lot more than 150 to get Spurs higher than they are now.
Yeah. Pochettino will go back to Spurs next summer. I really hope not. We're going to talk about Pochettino in a minute, Graham.
Yeah.
Please get Basuma. And all transfers will be funded by outgoings. I believe that as well. I think we'll probably end up spending about net 30 million.
That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah. I said this a few weeks ago. I believe we'll get McKennie and possibly Erickson from midfield centrally. Still think Traore is on the radar as well. Paratici is a fan. Graham, let's talk. I agree with you. I don't get why it's.
See, I think wing backs is going to be one of his priority things.
Here you go, Graham.
Because that's his style.
Alf Martin asked me some coaching tips the other week. What would you get? I think a young guy just starting out in the coaching world. What tips would you give Alf for on becoming a coach and a successful one?
Well, I mean, there are some people who bark at players. I didn't do that. I mean, there's coaches and managers, of course, of different things. I'd like to think as a coach, I showed enthusiasm. Enthusiasm rubs off on players. If you go out, I watched a guy at Charlton one night, came from the FA. I nearly fell asleep standing up. I couldn't hear what he was saying. It was so boring. You've got to inspire players. Players are going to want to be inspired by you. You know, I work with guys like Terry Wesley, Neil Banfield, who was Arsene Wenger's number 2 at Arsenal. And you watch them coach, it's full of enthusiasm and vitality almost, you know. And encouragement as well is a massive thing with coaching. Encourage players. Don't put them down. Encourage them. And encourage good players. Well, if people, I remember I had a player in a game once. He beat 6 players in a dribble and scored, and everyone said, "Oh, he's greedy." Isn't it great? You beat 5, 6 players in a dribble. What a fantastic thing to see. So you've got to encourage more than anything else. Praise as well. You know, praise players. So, well, I used to say, well done on the line. I don't hear people saying it. Well done. That was good. Can you do that again?
Yeah.
You hear people say, I mean, no disrespect to Sunday football, but I watch a lot of people, the parents on the line in Sunday games, and the players hoof it up the pitch. They go, well done. Well, you know, you've got to, it's hard to come through that system where 30, 40 people are shouting at you all the time. But, yeah, I mean, praise, encouragement, setting an example. I mean, you don't stay on the line effing and blinding at players. Yeah. You know, I've heard people do that with 9-year-olds. You know, you think, oh, my God.
Can I just say as well, what I would do is I encourage kids to try stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it might not always work, but that's what that level of football is about. It's not always about just winning. That level of football, let the skillful players be skillful. Don't always make the skillful player the scapegoat. Don't discourage a skillful player for trying a trick that hasn't worked. Tell them, try it again. Sorry, just that.
Don't play the game from the touchline as well. I remember a coach, the lad was going to do something, and the coach told him something else. It was David Pleat, actually. And David Pleat said, we'll never know what that player was going to do there because you told him what to do. And if you listen to a lot of coaches, they're going, pass it there, pass it there. When you're playing at any level, you don't want people pressurising you on the touchline because half of you's looking at the bloke on the line, half of you's looking at the game, and you become nervous on the ball and not relaxed. But you've got to be also, when you're setting a session up, be prepared. You know what you're trying to do in the session. You know, it's all things like that, really.
I'll tell you one of the things. So when I did my coaching badges, Graham actually, I worked with Graham at Charlton Athletic. Yeah. He put me through my coaching badges. And I remember one of the tips you gave me, was it Terry? What was his name who did my courses? Milo?
Oh,
Nicky
Milo.
Nicky Milo, the old Millwall bloke.
Sadly, he's died.
Yeah, he has. Great coach. I remember doing
gravel voice, didn't he?
Do you know, I always remember doing my coaching badges with Nicky because I remember we were doing this classroom session before we went out, and everyone had to manage a small-sided game and manage their team, etc. And it was like, right, you've got half an hour to put your plan together in the classroom. And I remember that I had this discomfort in my football boot. And I felt I had this discomfort, and I was thinking, do you know what I'm going to say? Do you remember
this?
No,
I thought it was in your brain.
I've always got a discomfort in my brain. I had this discomfort in my boot the whole time while I was writing. I was like, oh, what's that? Anyway, as we got outside, I said, Nicky, hang on, I can't do mine yet. I took my boot off, and there was a stag beetle in the bottom of my boot. Like a beetle, like that big. I was like, what the fuck? I had a beetle in there rummaging around my feet.
The classic one, just quickly, I worked with a guy in Charlton called John Cartwright. He was the England youth team manager. And John was pass it non-stop. He used to take anodins to calm his blood level down, you know. And in one session, he put his chair in the middle of the pitch and he sat on his chair coaching. And they made about 60 passes and hardly got into the other team's half. And that's a different type of coaching. And a lot of the very good coaches do a lot of shouting on the line and lets themselves down a little bit as well. But everybody's got their way of doing it. I like to think I was decent at it.
One thing Graham always taught me when coaching, and this guy could play back in the day, by the way. This guy could play.
Who, me?
Yeah. One thing I think is really important when you are coaching, Alf, is don't have sessions. Let's say you've got 15, 20 kids, don't have sessions where only 2 kids are involved at once. I see lots of sessions. You drive past parks and you go to training academies and that. There's sessions where 2 kids are doing something and the others are standing around like this watching.
That's cues.
Try and keep as many kids in the session as possible. But look, there's no right or wrong. Figure out what works for you, but be approachable. And also, when you've got kids, remember that, they're kids. Don't be trying to make 8, 9, 10-year-old kids play wing backs in games and absolutely knacker them out. You've got, so just...
You need personality as well to be a good coach, I think. A bit of personality. That's where Nuno struggled and Conte wins.
Yeah. So let's, Graham, we've got 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's talk about England and Pochettino. Sure. Now, I'm going to say this right now. England, for me, are one of the most boring national teams I watch. It is all very slow out the back. Gareth Southgate, whether he plays 5 at the back or 4 at the back, always plays 2 holding midfielders. The forward players he has playing with Kane, they're never the flair ones. They're always the working hard ones. And I find England painfully boring. Now, what I would say about this, Graham, is when you've got the squad that Southgate's got, now let's look at the forward attacking midfielders and forward players, right, that Southgate's got at his disposal. He's got Harry Kane, Tammy Abraham, right? He's got Foden, Grealish, Maddison, who he never puts in a squad, Sterling, Bowen, Mount, Gallagher, right? How, with all of those players, Graham, are England so negative?
This could be a massive opportunity lost, this could be. I'd like to see someone like Terry Venables, who I thought was a great coach. I'd like to see Terry Venables with this squad. You'd see...
Just let them go and play?
No, look at his personality as well. What a great... I listen to Southgate on Radio 5 sometimes when I'm coming back from things, and I nearly fall asleep at the wheel. He's so boring, isn't he? He's got a defender's mentality. Let them just play. Crikey, what a side it is. Imagine him like when the Brazilians, they didn't all sort of tuck back behind the ball and holding players. I just think it could be an opportunity lost, this having him as manager. I would bomb him tomorrow. I would have somebody else completely different.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, can I just ask, we've got 8 minutes left of the show. Could I please ask for one last push for some for subscribers? That would be great. I'm currently sitting on 836. Quicker I get to 1K, the quicker I start giving away free tickets, and half the money I raise each show will go to the British Heart Foundation. So everyone is a winner. For me, Graham, I feel like it either needs someone like a Potter who will actually set his teams up to play, or a manager, like they said, like with a Redknapp or a Venables, where they'd go, not too many instructions, go and play, go and get the ball. Like
what anybody said about Harry Redknapp, his teams are always good to watch. He comes out with some silly things sometimes, I think, Harry. He makes sort of rash judgments. Well, he told Frank Lampard to sign Delhi, didn't he? So, I mean, that's one rash statement. But you need someone... to me, again, like I said about personality, I think Southgate's devoid of it. I must confess and hold my hands up. Somebody said to me the other day, you're not very patriotic, are you? I said, I don't want to watch England play. I don't enjoy watching it. I like watching club football, and I don't really enjoy it, so I don't bother with it. I mean, 0-0. I mean, I listened to Italy's team was supposed to be very much a B team. I think only 2 that had played before played last night. But you could see keep swapping and changing people around, looking at different players. I mean, people like Foden should be playing all the time, every game.
Well, I don't know. This is the thing. I was talking to someone yesterday, Graham, and said, Can you imagine? And look, I'm not going to get into what my England 11 would be, but I just said to someone, just imagine, forget the back four and the two centre mids for 1 minute, right? We can talk about that another time.
Yeah.
I said, can you imagine if England every game played Grealish, Foden, and Maddison behind Harry Kane, right?
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine those boys playing interactive, one-touch football? And yet what you get is you get Bowen, who will work hard.
Yeah.
Mount plays every game because he works hard.
He's a systems manager, isn't he? You know, he plays to a system, and players have to fit that system.
Yeah.
I just think this is a massive opportunity. I just get the feeling he's a good FA man, isn't he? He says the right things at the right time. I'm not saying you want a Neil Warnock on the line ranting and raving, but I thought I keep thinking of Venables. Venables, to me, he had that tremendous side, didn't he? 1996 and everything else.
Don't you think teams mirror their manager's personality?
Absolutely.
So if you look at Pep, for me, like when he's in his interviews, he uses that bit of class, that calm. He was a great player. He's passionate and he moves about a lot, right? And his team play that way. Klopp is right in your face, 100 miles per hour. Liverpool play that way.
Pumping his chest with his fist, didn't he?
Conte's a little terrier.
100 mile an hour.
Look at the way we now play. Everyone with their running stats and stuff.
Yeah.
You watch Southgate, I watch England, and I think, can you imagine going in at half-time 0-0 or 1-0 down? Can you imagine Southgate setting your heartbeat racing because he's inspired you? Yeah. Now, last week, someone said Mike Bassett Mike Bassett, England manager. We're going to be playing 4-4-2.
Ricky Thomas.
Last week, we were 1-0 down to Hungary. Sorry, tell a lie. At the time, we were 0-0. His first two subs were bringing on a centre-half, right, and a wing-back, right? When you're 0-0. Then we went 1-0 down, and his sub was to put Calvin Phillips on, a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, that's his mentality,
right?
Isn't it? Obviously,
Right now, when you look at that, you think, what on earth's going on? Like, there's so many talented footballers. Now, this is going to bring me to everyone's in the comments is saying about Pochettino. Let's talk Pochettino.
Ooh, yeah.
My stance on Pochettino has always been this, Graham. He came in, he had some great years. He had some not so great years. He did well, didn't get over the line. Thank you very much. Park that bit of history.
Yeah.
Right? Some Spurs fans think he's the second coming of Jesus Christ himself. And now lots of fans saying he'd be the great choice for England. Would he be a better suited manager for England? And what went wrong at PSG?
Right.
Pick the bones in that, Graham.
Well, PSG, he couldn't handle big players. I would think. They would probably look at him and think, I'm not sure about you. On the line, his hands in pockets, and it's all very sort of. He looks, he doesn't know what he's doing. To be fair, yes, he did very, very well. That team seemed to slot like a jigsaw puzzle into place, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was. You could name the side, couldn't you? Obviously, we must have used other players. We also had the great Moussa Dembele, who's one of my favourite Spurs players.
Class player.
I thought the glue that linked it all together. He was the glue, wasn't he? I mean, people say he didn't score enough goals. That wasn't his role. That wasn't his job to do that, was it? We had him. He had Eriksen. Obviously, Ali was playing well then. It was a very, very good team. Got to the Champions League final. Don't knock it. And then, the following season, right to say he didn't win an away game for 10 months, did we? I don't think, with him in charge. And it was the right decision to move him on.
It was, yeah.
At the time, I wouldn't want him back personally. I wouldn't take him back at all. Where does he go from here? He's not going to get the top teams. I don't think. The Real Madrid, Barcelona.
Well, let's have a look at it. Real Madrid have just done the League and Champions League with Ancelotti.
Yeah.
Right. Barcelona have just brought in Xavi. Right. Simeone's at Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
He's just left, or he's leaving PSG. Bayern Munich have just brought in. Oh God, why is his name gone right out of my head? What Bayern Munich manager? The young.
Is it Flick?
I can't. Jesus, I can't. No. It's gone right out of my head. The one that everyone at Spurs wanted. I can't ever remember his name. Someone put it in there for me quickly so I don't look really silly. Munich have got that manager. Dortmund have just hired a new manager. Chelsea have got Tuchel. Man United have got Ten Hag. Spurs have got Conte. He wouldn't go to Arsenal. City have got Pep Nagelsmann. Thank you, Julian Nagelsmann. Thank you.
Yeah, it's sort of Wolves, Leicester sort of.
Right. Now, here's the thing for me, Graham, right? So I saw a look, it's comments like this, right? Poch would win the World Cup with England.
Why?
Now, why? My point exactly is what you can say about Poch is the man isn't a winner, is he? He doesn't get over the line.
He's a decent bloke, and all the players liked him. I would imagine he was popular around the club and everything else. Sometimes you have to have that extra little bit. I mean, look how well Ancelotti does. Wherever he goes, he's apart from Everton probably. Yeah. But what a tremendous career that bloke's had. I mean, he must have a lot of qualities, Poch. But I would be very disappointed to see him back at Spurs. That's been and gone. That's done.
Yeah.
Move forward.
Yeah, look, I agree. Look, the thing for me was that I liked Poch, until I didn't. Until the last kind of 10 months was untenable. And if any manager at any club in the league had that form, even if it was a bottom 3 team, they would have been sacked. So I get why he was sacked. The thing I think we've just seen is Conte, Klopp, Tuchel, Pep, Simeone, Ancelotti. These managers manage the very best players. Yeah, they manage the Messis, the Ronaldos, the Neymars, the Bales, right? The Kevin De Bruynes, the Virgil van Dijks, the Salahs. I don't think Poch can manage those players because I don't think he's got a high enough standing as a manager.
And now, I think the Neymars and that, they all got egoists, aren't they? All of them. All got massive egos. The top managers they respect.
Just quickly, my subscribers, somebody's unsubscribed, so thank you for that. I'm at 835. I was hoping to get to 850, but never mind. 835. Just quickly, Graham. So, while we're touching on the Pochettino bit, for me, yes, party after party. The thing is, this guy makes me laugh. Party after party, everything Spurs is amazing, right? Is Kane and Son aren't big egos, are they? Kane and Son are not big egos.
Easy to control, actually. Easy to sort of.
And the point is, he hasn't been able to manage Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar. He hasn't got the best out of them. So
I think it's the Champions League where it is. I mean, to win the French league is nothing special, but that Champions League is the one.
Look at the French Cups.
Yeah, they want Poch to be up in amongst the semi-finals and finals of the Champions League. He hasn't done that, and that's why he's suffered.
And in his first season there, when he joined them, they were 1 point off the top of the league.
Yeah.
So in half a season, he still lost the league title to Lille.
See, we still don't know when he was at Spurs. Was he trying to bring players in, or did he, or Levy blocking him, or was because he left us in 14th place. At the end of the day, whoever to blame, you could blame Levy or whatever, but we were 14th when he left.
At the end of the day, the way I look at it is the proof is in the pudding, right? So when you look at Pochettino, when you look at Pochettino's reign everywhere he's been, it is going to show multiple finals and semis lost that he didn't manage to get over the line. It is going to show that he had. I mean, when you've got a front three of Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar, people will go, "Oh, well, they wouldn't play for any manager." Well, whenever Messi was managed by people at Barcelona, his work rate was phenomenal. Mbappe didn't seem to have this problem. I just think that there are certain players. If Conte walks into a changing room, if Ancelotti does, if Pep does, if Pep went to manage PSG straight away, what would those players do?
Well, he's already at PSG. You're saying
Pep.
Oh, Pep. Sorry,
Pep.
Well, he'd lift their game straight away. Somebody said that to me once about Pep. They said, "How would he get on managing somebody lower down?" I said, "Well, he'd improve them
immediately.
He'd improve them straight away. He'd drive them as well, and they would they would give him an extra 20-30%.
I think the difficulty for me is whenever I've watched PSG, whenever I've watched PSG, they just don't even seem to have any kind of way of playing.
No.
There's no tactics there. I don't know what he's implemented. Again, I love this guy. He said, I'm not going to let Poch's final 10 months to sign him. He was amazing at Southampton, great at Spurs, and a league title at PSG. Well, let's break this down. You or I could win a league title at PSG. That's not a... If that was success, PSG wouldn't be sacking him. But that's not success. He did a good job at Southampton, and he did some great things at Spurs, but he also didn't at the same time. This is the thing. When you say you wouldn't let 10 months is a long time.
That's the half glass full comment, isn't it?
It is, but this is the thing, right? Here's what I always say to people, right? Poch lost the title race to Lille, right? I didn't say Pep would win the Champions League with PSG when he can't do it with City, because winning the Champions League is a tough thing. But if he managed PSG, they would play better football. They would actually have an identity.
This is why they're letting him go.
Right, they're letting him go. They've got no. A couple of PSG fans at my work have said that this is the worst they've seen it for years. Yes, they've won the league, but the fans don't like his style of football. The fans, they say he tinkers around too much. The players clearly don't respect him. But this is what gets me. If we look here, that 10 months, 26 points from 25 games, right? That's relegation form, right? That's relegation form. I mean, unfortunately, that's fact. I know people are going to get emotional about it, but remove the emotion. That's fact. 10 months without an away win. That's fact. 14th in the league when we lost. That's fact. Now, if you've got all of those things, if we were looking at Arteta doing that at Arsenal, what would Spurs fans say?
Well, there you go. Yeah,
they'd be laughing. He's shit. Get him out. Because he did it at Spurs, right? Because he did it at Spurs, we love him. He shouldn't have gone. Of course, he should have gone. Yeah. He spent over 400 million when he was at Spurs.
He let all the domestic cups go by as well, didn't he? He used to shuffle the team around. No, not for me. We've been down that road. The
thing is here as well, but Richard, you know I love you, lots of respect, but again, this is not factually correct. I keep hearing that he neglected the FA Cup and League Cups. That's not true. We got to cup finals under him and cup semi-finals under him. He didn't neglect them. Just whenever he came up against the top teams, he was completely blown away. He got to the FA Cup semi-final against Man United and dropped Walker and Lloris. He got to the semi-final against Chelsea and put Son at left wing back. We played a North London derby and he dropped Toby Alderweireld to play 1/4 and they scored 4. He got to a Champions League final and didn't play the guy that got us there, Lucas Moura. So, sorry, he didn't neglect the cups. Who talked about winning it? He just no one said he didn't win it. So I'm going to stop talking to that guy. That guy is he's one of those. But the thing is, but what people like that don't like is facts. They don't like facts. Poch's last year at Spurs, any manager would have to go. Here's a fact for you. Poch's last 10 months at Spurs. Are you ready for this, Graham?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Poch's last 26 games at Spurs was a worse point return, right, than Christian Gross's last 26 games at Spurs. Yeah. Now make of that what you will. Now, yes, people will say he wasn't given loads of players, but Poch still had Lloris, Rose, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Dembele, Erickson, Ali, Son, Kane. I'm sorry, you can't not win an away game for 10 months. He's now
got to look below the top sides, isn't he?
I agree.
I don't think he's a top-class manager. I think he's the next level down from that. But time will tell. But hopefully he's learned something at PSG.
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't have gone there in the first place, really. They're very demanding.
Phil, I agree. Fans do need to raise their standards because what we do is we glorify failure. Yeah? I'm not saying Poch should have won the Champions League and league with us, but to have not won a single thing with that team that we had in a period of time when the other clubs were rebuilding and Leicester were winning the title was failure for me. Twisted Complex said, I love Poch, but with the squad we had, there's a big argument he should have won us trophies, and don't forget others will bang on. Why are you going after Poch for no reason? We're not. People were putting Poch in the comments about managing England, so we talked about him. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I just don't think he's good enough to get over that final hurdle, Richard, if I'm honest. Look, at the end of the day, Johnny said, in fairness, Poch, he did win 3 trophies in 1.5 years. He was 4 points off Lille when he took over and lost the league 1 point. It is what it is. Yeah, but with that PSG squad, you should not be losing the league to Lille. That's poor. That's awful. When you say he won 3 trophies, what did he win? What's he won? He's not for me.
No, that ship sailed.
I agree with this. If you gave Mourinho the players in 2017 that Poch had, maybe he wins the Champions League with that team.
Yeah.
Why?
I like Mourinho. I'm sorry if there's a lot of people didn't like him. Said he played boring football and they scored over 100 goals in one season. I could never understand that stat. I think they demand more of the players. Perhaps these Contes, they get the Klopp, they get the best. They get more out of a team.
Here's the lane. I don't have negative energy. What I'm doing is putting facts. Again, the difference between me and you, the lane, is I can separate my Spurs hat and as a football fan hat. I'm offering facts. Poch did a really good job for 3 seasons. The first year he came wasn't great. And the last sort of 18 months wasn't brilliant, but it was papered over by a Champions League final. But in the background, what was happening in the league wasn't great. Savva, have a word with Tapping Tobes. He's gone balls deep. Look, Tobes is welcome to his opinion. Tobes would want him. I wouldn't. There's levels to it, and I just don't think he's what we need. Right, we're going to wrap up in a minute. The lane, yes, he did join PSG in January, but they were 1 point behind Lille. He still had half a season to go and win the league. There's no excuse with that squad. I loved Poch, but wouldn't go back. Neither would I. Would you take Lille's title-winning manager if Conte was to leave tomorrow? Probably not. I don't know where he is now. No. Yeah, perfect. He is. People like that and party after party are... They're too nostalgic about it. Laugh aloud, Mourinho couldn't take Poch's team to the Europa League final. Poch's team was left in 14th. Poch couldn't get Poch's team winning away for 10 months. Mourinho is one of the greatest managers of all time.
Yeah, it's constant sort of putting down on Mourinho.
I don't get it.
You know, and he's boring and he plays boring football and all this old nonsense. Look at Mourinho's record, then look at Poch's record. I think it's a little bit different.
Again, yeah, brutal honesty, Savva. Some people think that is negativity. What I would say is this. Yeah?
Yeah.
What I would say is this. Jose Mourinho has played 5 European finals as manager.
Yeah.
How many has he won?
Nearly all of them? I don't know.
Not nearly all of them.
All of them. Right.
All of them.
Good, yeah.
Right? This is a man that gets shit done. He gets over the line. We sacked him the week before a final because it's all well and good having this pretty football that Poch had, but in the big games, he couldn't get over the line because he had no way of matching up. The Champions League final, we were awful. Yeah. The cup semi-finals, we were terrible. But this is the thing, yeah. Poch didn't get away with him for 10 months. Mourinho won his first game in charge away at West Ham.
Yeah.
This is, again, yeah.
I know which manager I'd rather have.
Yeah, look, our fan base has a problem with sentimentality. See how long it took to get rid of Delhi, who stunk the place out for 2 to 3 years. Hang on. Jose is finished. Poch is the future.
Really?
Jose just won another European competition and Poch is getting sacked when he's got players like Neymar, Mbappe and Messi. So when Poch is the future, when does he win something good?
I was told that quite a long while ago, and he's won, albeit that competition, he's still got him over the line and won it.
Yeah. Yeah.
People said, he won't do anything anymore. Respect. That's a word he used to use, isn't it? Look at the career he's had. Crikey, no one can argue against the career he's had. Surely
the thing is, right? The thing is, this is where people get silly. On the one hand, they're telling me, well, Poch had a terrible 10 months because he wasn't backed, right? So let's just play this narrative. Poch had a terrible last year because he wasn't backed, even though he spent 150 million on Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sessegnon and Clark, right? So, no wonder they didn't win away for 10 months. No wonder we were 14th in the league. He wasn't backed. Cool. But Jose Mourinho is now a failure for not getting that team success. So which one is it? Was Poch not backed, but Jose was? Jose was given Vinicius, Doherty, Joe Hart, Bergwijn, Gedson, Roden. That's not backing a manager.
I think Mourinho's success rate over the years of his career deserves respect.
Yeah.
Well,
Johnny be good. Respect. Johnny be good. I think that is about his level. Athletic Bilbao is the next level down. I think that's his level. Yeah. He's never done anything, sorry for me, and people are going to go, Champions League final, but there are lots of managers that have got to Champions League finals. Yeah. Jose Mourinho, for example, won it with Porto. Yeah. He won it with Porto. Right. So look, at the end of the day, people can say what they want, but if you've got a manager that has won 5 European trophies, and I think, can someone pull up for me how many European trophies has Jose Mourinho? Sorry, how many trophies in his career has Mourinho won? Mourinho never finished higher than 6th at Spurs. Poch got 2nd. Yes, he's an idiot, isn't he? Because Jose didn't have the same team, you donut.
Just comparing,
This is why I'm going to... I can't block him because he's not done anything wrong, but this is what you deal with, Graham. You get people like this. Pochettino had a very good 11. Jose Mourinho was given what? What was he given?
Are we saying then that Poch is a better manager than Jose Mourinho?
Never in a million years.
Are we saying that?
Pochettino's not one of the best managers of anything.
That ship, as I said before, that ship sailed. Don't want to see him again at Spurs. Sorry.
Mate, Lane, you could say that was years ago. Football has changed now. At the end of the day, Jose Mourinho, football, and by the way, football hasn't changed.
There's a goal at each end of the pitch.
Yeah. Jose Mourinho took Porto to win the Champions League. And you lot are wetting yourselves about Poch getting to a final with players like Kane and Son and Erickson and Dembele and Vertonghen and Alderweireld and Rose. What he did with Porto was phenomenal, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's had a phenomenal career.
Yeah.
People don't like him because he would manage Chelsea. That's the big thing coming back to him. But I mean, I was never when he was at Chelsea, he used to really annoy me. But I think you've got to take one step back.
There you go. Jose Mourinho has won 27 trophies in his career.
Yeah.
Right? Poch is a better manager than Mourinho now.
There's absolutely zilch evidence
on
of that.
What?
Zero evidence of that.
Based on what? He's getting sacked today from PSG because the fans that can't stand his football, and he's not getting the best out of the players. Anyway, look, let's hang on, let's see. Jose had a demoralised team, a hamstrung spending amount, compromised signings, had to make the most of mediocre players. He didn't get a fair shot. Mourinho wasn't backed, else he would have been okay.
Well, he won a couple of trophies at Man U.
So here is a fact. Since 2016, Tottenham have finished top 4 every time apart from the years Jose was manager. Because he didn't have the same team. He's right.
He wasn't given much time either, was he? He went there very long, for God's sake.
Here's another fact for you. People don't like facts. Do you know in Jose Mourinho's 18-month in charge, right? In charge of Spurs, do you know if you combine all the points from those 2 seasons, where we would have finished?
Way up there. In the top 4.
4th.
Yeah.
So in his tenure at Spurs, you have to remember, he picked up from Poch, who left us in 14th. I should support Roma. Right, you're getting blocked. I don't have children on my show like you, I'm afraid. That is...
So if you don't agree...
Yeah,
people don't have the same opinion as you. They jump down your throat.
Absolute child. You
must allow people to have an opinion. We're not Poch fans now. We wouldn't have Poch back.
Yeah.
But to throw silly facts, ridiculous. Mourinho's career is way beyond anything that.
Conte had the same team, Savva. What are you on about? He also took over in November. Stop protecting him. Conte, Jesus, wow! I've got no words for how idiotic people can be. At the end of the day, you're comparing a manager that has never won anything of note in his career to a manager that has managed the world's best teams and won everything.
That's the bottom line.
Facts. I think if this was a mic, I could just drop it like that. Mic drop.
Well, they all like Poch. I mean, it's like trying to,
yeah,
move somebody from the Conservative Party to the Labour Party, isn't it? They're not going to do it.
The thing is, when we're saying, to be honest, Poch wasn't the reason PSG lost to Madrid this season. Well, he is, because he watched his team starting to get overrun. And I was listening to, was it Ali McCoy, the next day on Talk Sport, said he couldn't believe what he was watching. Real Madrid mixed things up. Yeah, and took the lead against PSG. PSG were being overrun in midfield, and Poch didn't take one of his three forwards off to put in another midfielder.
He made poor substitutions.
Always did. But as I've said, Graham, lots of these fans have the club they deserve because they back failure. You think those would have taken us to Champions League final and top four consecutively? You think those? I don't know. Can that sentence be a bit better? Yeah, he is trolling. He's just ridiculous now. Anyway, we're going to end the show there. I was having a really good show until that idiot joined. Yeah, no, you're right, Paddy. I am trying to talk to people who have so much love for Poch that they don't see any wrong. Unfortunately, troll. Anyone who says washed, the man's just won a European trophy. Poch lost to the 22 champions.
Why is he washed?
I don't know. I don't know.
How's he washed?
Lane is getting booked. Look, he clearly look at this. Look at these idiots.
Poch is not better.
Look at these idiots. Not you, Gogama. The lane's been blocked. Right, well, we're going to jump off now. But Scott, how is this Jose crap nonsense? He's won 27 titles in his career.
Over 100 goals that season when he was manager.
27 trophies in his career, and he's just won another European trophy.
Nonsense.
What's nonsense about that? Pochettino isn't better. He's never won anything. Anyway, right, we're going to go, right, look, this guy's a troll as well. This guy's just, they just turn up from nowhere and they ruin the show. Shu, thanks, mate. Thank you, K1. Yeah, I was really enjoying the show until the end. Yeah, it's
all debate. Yeah,
I'll tell you what. I agree. Right, I agree. Pochettino is a better manager than Jose Mourinho. I look forward to Poch getting sacked again, and I look forward to Poch taking one of the world's top jobs. You come back and let me know the next job Pochettino gets. Anyway, on that note, thank you very much, everyone. Most of you, Party After Party is going on a timeout as well. Yeah. This guy sometimes is really good, and other times he's just an idiot. He's getting blocked as well. Anyway, see you later. I've got to go. I can't deal with trolls anymore. They ruin everything. See you later, guys. Take care, and thank you for all the likes and the subscribing.
Bye.
Bye-bye.